What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Blazers Uprise Postgame show presented by BetUS. Tonight was a very special night as Damian Lillard returns to Portland to play his first game as an opponent in Moda Center. And it didn't go how he wanted it to, as the Blazers get an upset win over the Milwaukee Bucks, 119-116, behind a clutch Anthony Simons floater with about 17 seconds remaining, and 24 points in this one. This was an eventful game. I went to it. That's why the stream is going live so late. I got stuck in a parking lot trying to leave. It was rough. But I'm here now. Eric will be here shortly. I don't know exactly when. But looking forward to hanging out with you guys, talking about this game, talking about this impressive Blazers performance, this offense that is finally starting to click a little bit, as well as Dame's return, what it felt like being at the game, and our thoughts on this, as this night kinda was the final night to get closure regarding the past summer, the past tumultuous offseason that we all went through here. Man, I'm glad I went to this game. I wish this post-game show was live a little bit sooner, but, you know, I tried my best. I live all the way up in Vancouver, so it's a little bit of a drive, but, man, it was a great experience being there in person. A lot of people that I know, a lot of people that are, you know, fans of the channel went to that game, so if you're at the game, let me know your thoughts being there in person, and then let me know your thoughts watching this game on TV, the only nationally televised game of the year for the Blazers, and man, they pulled out a win, and they have an impressive performance. DeAndre Ayton had some impressive moments. Jeremy Grant hit some tough buckets. Scoot Henderson had his best half of his entire career. Ends up with 15 points on 6 for 11 shooting, an efficient night for him, and he seemed pretty amped up for what was a playoff atmosphere in Moda Center. It was legitimately a playoff atmosphere in that arena, and it's been a while since we've experienced that, and it was pretty cool to hear that stadium alive and rocking the way that it was. And man, it was just a great night, a fun night, and we're going to talk about it here on this post-game show. Shout out Brady C with a $5 donation. Says, fun game, awful tribute. Yeah, we're going to have to talk about that. Can't believe I paid $150 for that. Awkward timing, lights not dimmed. Never thought CJ would get a better tribute than Dame. Yes, the execution of said tribute could have been better. Eric has some strong thoughts on that. And I'm going to save my talk for how they did the tribute until Eric is here. And then we can talk about also some of the comments Dame, made in his post-game press conference. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm looking forward to it. And then his comments about not talking to Joe Cronin, and we'll just kind of put a little bow on that whole saga. But I love that we got some good basketball to talk about tonight. I love that not only was it a competitive game, it was a game that the Blazers won, and this was a playoff atmosphere that I think is going to be a good experience for this young, struggling Blazers team. They're finally starting to turn the corner. They're finally starting to put together competitive games, finally starting to win some games against some solid teams, and they're starting to look a little bit more cohesive, a little bit better, which is great. But man, this was definitely the loudest atmosphere that Scoot Henderson has ever played in, that Tamani Kamara has ever played in, maybe that Uprise has ever played in. I know they get kind of crazy overseas where he's played until he's in the NBA now, but man, Uprise had some impressive moments in the first half. There's a lot of fun things to talk about from this game. Once again, thank you, Brady, for the donation. And yeah, we're definitely going to have to talk about the tribute. Chat, what do you want me to get in first? I'll run this like a democracy until Eric's here. What do you want to talk about first? Whatever you guys put the most of in chat, I'll start off with that. I'm going to save the talk for the tribute until Eric is here. Charlene Brandt says, Chauncey yelling at Ayton. I did not see that. Kamara, yeah, let's start with Tamani Kamara, because I don't want to forget to talk about him with everything that we have to talk about tonight on this postgame show. This dude took 3 charges in the second half, And they were all necessary to win this game. They were all monumental in this game. And you look at his stat line, it's not too impressive. 2 for 3 from the field, 23 minutes, 4 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals though. Played some really good pressure defense against guards. I thought when he got switched on to Giannis, he did about as good of a job as you could ever expect a rookie forward to do on him. And then taking 3 charges there in the second half. Just huge plays from him where he's rotating quick enough to take charges, because that's the thing in the NBA. If you got guys driving and you're the help side defender, you got to rotate quickly to make sure you're outside of that charge circle. A lot of times guys will rotate too late and try and take a last second charge, and it's either a block because they're moving or it's a block because they're in the charge circle. But that's what Toumani Camara has done an impressive job of as a rookie this season, is he sees things happening quickly, and he's able to get into position pretty quickly. He's not without his flaws and mistakes as a defender, but he's a rookie. He's a rookie. You expect those. You don't expect a rookie to take 3 charges, including 2 on Giannis, in the second half of a game that had a playoff atmosphere down the stretch. So, shout out to Toumani. He was terrific defensively, I thought. Very impressed with him, and he actually got to finish this game for the most part. The Blazers, at the end of the game, subbed in situational lineups and stuff, but he ended up playing 23 minutes. I guess I'll run through some stat lines. I'll just run through the box score. So Anthony Simons is your leading scorer. He had 24 points, 5 assists, 3 turnovers, 10 for 19 for the field, 4 for 9 from 3. Good game from him. DeAndre Ayton continues his hot play. This is 5 games in a row where he shot the ball efficiently and scored the ball at a much higher volume than he had the rest of the season here in Portland. 20 points, 11 rebounds for him, 10 for 17. He had some impressive finishes over Brook Lopez, who's a big center and a good defender. One of the better defending centers in the league. And Ayton seems to be playing with a little bit more confidence, a little bit more edge to him, a little bit more physicality, and you love to see it. Jeremy Grant, 18 points, 4 assists, 3 rebounds, 2 steals, 7 for 14. He didn't make a 3 in this game. He only took 1 3 in this game. He was charged with guarding Dame a lot of the game, which was pretty cool to see because, you know, those guys are friends. Those guys are Dame helped land Jeremy Grant in Portland. Dame is the reason Jeremy Grant's in Portland. It was kind of a little weird that Dame's now gone and Grant's still here and Grant's guarding Dame because Grant's not here without Dame last year. So I thought Grant, solid game from him. Jabari Walker, I thought, had some really impressive moments. He only played 16 minutes, which I didn't really understand because in those 16 minutes, 8 points, 3 for 4 from the field, 1 for 2 from 3, 5 boards, 2 assists, and a steal. A really productive 16 minutes from him. And then the bench. The bench was really impressive. Combined for 35 points, led by Scoot Henderson, 6 for 11, 15 points, 4 assists. I believe all those points and assists came in the first half. Scoot played 13 minutes in the first half, 9 minutes in the second half, 22 minutes on this game, and what might be the best game of the season for Scoot. I know he had the game earlier in the season where he scored 33 points, but he was, if I recall correctly, 13 for 31 in that game. This game, he was efficient. He hit a 3 on an ISO at the end of the first quarter, which was beautiful to see. He had some really impressive finishes, a really impressive explosive dunk. In the first half, I feel like was the closest that we've gotten to what we expected Scoot Henderson to be coming into the league as a prospect. That's basically what a lot of people with the most optimistic expectations expected out of Scoot Henderson coming into his rookie year. And that was, in my opinion, the best half of his career. Really, really impressive first half from Scoot. Later on, we're going to talk about him only playing 22 minutes, though. I'm going to wait for Eric to be here for that as well, because I know he probably has some strong opinions on that as well. And we're going to have to talk about the whole Brogdon thing and the balance of this lineup, because Scoot in this game plays great. Wasn't in foul trouble. Only plays 22 minutes. And that's with Shaedon Sharpe hurt. So, how do they figure it out when Shaedon Sharpe comes back? I don't know. But Duop Reath, as I said, 10 points in 13 minutes, plus 13 for him. 4 for 6 from the field. Knocked down 2 threes, including a really impressive contested late in the shot clock 3. He was terrific. Matisse Thybulle, 2 for 6 from 3. But he was also a plus 13 and with 6 points. So that's the stat line today for the Blazers. Dame in his return, he struggled. 25 points, 7 assists, 6 rebounds, but was 9 for 23 from the field, 3 for 13 from 3. It was not a Damian Lillard-esque game. You know, he hit some Dame shots, but we got a firsthand experience of what has been the usage of Dame in Milwaukee, which is, man, why don't they run more pick and roll with him? In my opinion, he's the best pick and roll guard in the league, and they don't run much pick and roll with him. They don't run him off enough screens. Like, there is too many possessions where Dame was basically an afterthought, including a possession late where Brook Lopez is shooting a 3. Not Dame, not Giannis. You don't really want Giannis shooting 3s. But, you know, you could give the ball to Giannis and let him try and get to the rim, extend the game that way. No, you got Brook Lopez shooting a 3. It's going to be interesting to see how the usage of Dame changes under Doc Rivers, who's now the coach there, compared to Adrian Griffin, who's been there all year. But this is kind of what we've seen from Dame, where he struggles to get a rhythm. He's being used differently, and you know, you want to try and mix up the way he's used. I've always been a proponent of that, but he should be running more pick and roll than this during the course of a game. Anyway, looks like Eric is here, so we're going to get him on the stream. We'll see if he picks up, and then we will fully dive deep into this one. Alrighty. So Eric went to the game, I went to the game. Somehow I got home before him because, man, Eric, I was stuck in a parking lot trying to leave that thing. But, you know, good to see you. And let me just say this real quick. This dude, Eric, looks like he's in terrific shape. Like, I could tell. When was the last time we met in person, Eric?
We played basketball once, I think, over the summer.
Yeah, it's been like since the summer, right? And I could tell just by like the streams, but then meeting you in person, this dude looks like he's ready to go out there and play an NBA game, okay? He looks in great shape. I was impressed. I was inspired. Absolutely inspired, man. Let's just dive into it. I don't know how much you've heard. I haven't really gotten into much. I've saved some topics that I know that you want to talk about. Kind of ran through the stat line there. Was talking about Dame's game. So we'll just kind of start off with whatever you want to go into. You know, the Blazers win. The Blazers beat the Bucks. They were 10.5-point underdogs, according to BetUS, going into this game. Once again, shout out BetUS for being the sponsor for this postgame show. The Blazers win this thing, man. That was impressive. I guess my first question is, what'd you think of like the atmosphere in Moe's Center? Because it's been pretty dead in Moe's Center for a while now, and that felt more normal. That felt like a fan base that was, I don't know, involved in the game, not looking at their phones throughout the second half of a game because they're down 30. Like, that was fun, man. It was fun to experience that. So just kind of your thoughts on the atmosphere in the game in general.
Yeah, I mean, this is the first game I've been to this year, but I mean, I'm sure people watching at home can tell the difference between tonight and any of the other games this season. Yeah, it did feel like a playoff atmosphere. I don't know. The Dame stuff was weird. I almost felt like it was more subdued than CJ's return. I don't know. You were at CJ's return.
Okay, let me just say this. Okay. It's hard to cheer when you're a little choked up.
Oh, okay. You think that was that? Yeah.
I think it could have been that, because I talked to a couple people that like, yeah, it was like hard to cheer for him because I was a little choked up.
Yeah.
And I kind of felt the same thing, man. Like, I'm not gonna say you're crying, but bro, like, this dude has meant the world to this organization, to this team that like I've dedicated a big part of my life to, man. So it was a little emotional, being able to see him make his return to Moda Center, I was a little choked up. It is impossible to cheer if you got a little bit of that lump in your throat, you know? So that's all I'm going to say.
I just, like, I don't know what it was, but just the whole timing of the situation just felt off to me. Like, Dame, I don't know about you, Tori, but I was waiting for him to be, like, the last one introduced. So then...
Yeah.
Like all that, and then all of a sudden they're introducing him second behind Malik Beasley, and I was like, "What? Like we're doing this now?"
Yeah, because they said campaign, and then they said another guard. I was like, "Huh?"
Malik Beasley, yeah,
or Malik Beasley, yeah, not campaign. What am I talking about? Yeah,
Mark Mason kind of did his thing, but it wasn't. I was expecting him because he did a Twitter poll, saying like, "Should I do my normal Dame thing or just do like a normal visitors thing?" And it got like 93% do a fancy Dame thing, or whatever. And like he did say a little more, letter O, all that kind of stuff, but it wasn't like and 6-time All-Star, like, you know, like he didn't really get into it, you know.
Yeah.
And so like, and then I was like thinking, wait, he still has 3 more players to be introduced and stuff. Like, it just. The whole timing of it just felt off, and I don't know if I can blame the Blazers. Like, I don't know if they decide who gets introduced first or not, like the announcers, or if because you know a lot of times teams will introduce the other team's best player like second or third, so it's kind of subdued like that. But I just thought, like, in this particular situation, Dame should have been last. And then let the crowd breathe a little bit into the ovation. I just felt like it was kind of like, wait, he's being introduced already? Like, why is he going second? Like, that's what I was thinking the whole time. And then, like, people could keep telling me that for TV reasons they couldn't have done the video beforehand. But I mean, we took like 2 or 3 minutes to like. You know, the Bucks are all dancing across the floor and going crazy, and we're all giving them an ovation. We couldn't have played a video right then, you know? Like, I don't see how we couldn't have fit that in there.
The only reason it's on national TV is because of Dame's return. That's right. The only reason. Yeah. Guys, sorry, but the Blazers are bad enough to the point where they get no nationally televised games. Like, if we're not better next year, we're probably going to have 0 nationally televised games, not counting NBA TV, of course. So I don't really understand that. Also, it's like, shoot, you can skip the little hype video that is played before literally every single home game and replace it with a Dame tribute video and then announce Dame and then go into the Blazers starting lineup when the crowd, you know, after the crowd gives its ovation where the crowd is still loud, and then they can cheer the other guys, and this... You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't done well. Blazer fans still gave him that ovation. Like, it was a good tribute video at the first commercial timeout. And, you know, still got to give him his flowers, but the Blazers could have definitely done a better job of it. There's no question about that.
Yeah, it almost felt like they were just trying to get away with not doing the crowd thing. And the other thing too, I hate this as well, like waiting for the first time out. Okay, if you're going to do that, why don't you just say, like, have a thing on the Jumbotron? Like, Dame would have been able to see it because he's on the court. Just say, stay tuned for a video later or something like that. Don't just act like you're not going to do anything, really. And then, I mean, the videos were fine. They played videos at the first 2 timeouts. That was pretty much it, right? Like, 2 videos, and I don't know. It seemed like, I don't know what the right word is, but it just seemed like they were kind of more banking on the crowd to produce any kind of tribute to him than they were, and that's just.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if that's how they want to play it, that's fine. But I felt like they should have leaned into it more because the crowd was ready to erupt. I feel like when Dame got introduced, and it just kind of fizzled out, and then everyone starts booing, and then I mean, it was really funny because it seemed like we were booing the crap out of Doc Rivers, but I think people started booing, at least around me, when they realized that was it. We weren't doing anything else pregame for Dame. And so I think it got misstrued for booing Doc Rivers. I mean, who cares about Doc Rivers? No one's going to boo that loud for him. No one cares about him. Despite what Stephen Vaughn said, he said he was booing Doc Rivers.
Which I respected. That's funny.
That is funny, yeah. But and then Chauncey got booed really hard.
Yeah.
I didn't boo Chauncey, but yeah, there were loud boos, man. That was crazy. But
man, it's just like you can't expect this organization to do anything fully right.
Right.
Like, I mean, it just extends all the way to Dame's return game. It's just it's a little frustrating thinking back. Like, I wasn't really too frustrated in the moment.
Yeah.
Because there's Dame's back, ovation, but looking back on it, man, like, you had all year to plan this. Mm-hmm. You had all year to think about everything, and it was like people were still kind of cheering him, but then they start to announce the other starters, and it's like, oh well, we better shut up now. And then it's like you get into the game after 6 minutes. Like, I was kind of rooting for Dame at the start of the game to start going off, but like some people obviously are just going to root for the Blazers. So like once you start getting into game mode, the tribute video isn't quite the same. Like,
I felt like I didn't hit the same once.
Did they do the CJ tribute video before the game?
I don't remember what they did. I don't remember. I think I was mad about that too, so probably not.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. Like, they could have done a better job. I'm not gonna dwell on it too hard. It's just like, come on, right. Come on.
What
could have done a better job?
It's frustrating because I had the same 10 people in my mentions on Twitter every freaking time I say something about the organization. Like, it's not their fault. There's nothing they can do about it.
Just bootlicking people. It's just bootlicking people. Yeah.
It's so frustrating because, and then you get the people like, you and Tori just look for things to be negative about. That's all you care about. Well, I was ready to be super excited. I was ready to praise the organization tonight about handling it well. But it seemed like they're still scorned. Like, they're still trying to, like, there's still some weird tension there, and so yeah, it's kind of funny, but it's like
before the game.
Mm-hmm.
If you asked me how the tribute would have been done, I would have not said announce him second and no tribute video before the game, and then like start announcing the rest of the starters after you announce him, and I wouldn't have said that. So right. I mean, that's the thing is it's not looking for things to complain about. Like, I didn't want to complain about how they did the Dame tribute at all. Like, I wanted to talk about how awesome it was. Just like, yeah, I don't know. Like, it is.
And here's the thing. Okay, so the Blazers, for going on 20 years or so now, have had. I mean, there's no blunt way to put this. Their TV contracts have been absolute garbage, whether it's Root Sports or Comcast or whatever it's been. Like, half the fan base can't even get the games or the TV stream, and now they're not on any streaming platforms that people actually use, and like it's a joke, man. And so you say, like, you're frustrated with the front office or the organization, that they never seem to get it right with the TV deal based on every TV deal they've signed. It's not just like the Root Sports thing or whatever, because like Root Sports like raised their price, or Comcast raised the price of the package that includes Root Sports or whatever, and the Blazers come out with some dumb statement. And then you get guys saying like, well, there's nothing the Blazers can do about it. It's like, they've gone 20 years without doing shit about it, right? Like, they could do something about it. So, like, freaking do something and, like, step up for your fans. And, like, I feel like tonight was yet another night the fans were ready to just erupt, and the Blazers kind of were like, you know what? We're not going to do that. We're just going to let you guys cheer for a minute and then play the game and then play a little video at the timeout.
Yeah. And Mind Over Matter says, I was just watching Westbrook's return to OKC, and they played the tribute during his introduction on TNT. That's all it should have been done. Like, but like, it's just, the thing is like, whenever this organization could do something better, there's just a lot of energy like that they aren't in control of the trades they make, aren't in control of the TV contract they signed, aren't in control of their game operations, and when they run a tribute video. Like, it's just, apparently this organization has zero power over literally anything. Like, they are just completely out of control, which I guess is a great way to sum things up.
Several people in chat, Mind Over Matter, Elizabeth Allen, and others, thank you so much. When Westbrook had his tribute in OKC, it was on TNT national TV, and they did his tribute during the introduction. So I don't want to hear it. It's an absolute failure. I don't care. You're free. You guys, feel free to think however you want. If you think this was fine, or Dame didn't deserve a tribute at all, or whatever, I might think you're crazy for that, but you're free to think however you want. And I'm free to think that that's absolute crap from the Blazers to hide behind that excuse, if that's their excuse. They should have demanded. They should have said, ESPN, the only reason you're here is for Dame's return. Like, this is the whole point. Let's hype it up. Like, they had camera. Tori, I know you were you didn't get there as early as me. I was there, like, there was still over an hour on the clock before the game started and all that. There was like 5 cameras all following Dame around. They were all right in front of him during the national anthem, like just on him. Like, they wanted, this is what they were here for. They weren't here for the Blazers. They don't give a crap about the Blazers, obviously, since this was the only game they're on national TV. So it's just kind of funny. I felt like tonight could have been a home run. It was still awesome and fun, and the Blazers played really well and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I just feel like this organization cannot get out of its own way when it comes to this kind of stuff.
Yeah. Brandon Romero says they didn't show basketball video. They showed him in the community and his impact. That was the second, like, time out. They did a community, like, tribute video. The first time out, they did, like, a basketball tribute thing, which was, like, bigger. You know, like, but that's the thing is, like, the first time out tribute should have been before the game, and then first time out, then you do the community thing, or like end of the first quarter, then you do the community thing. It just could have been done better. That's my opinion. That's Eric's opinion. I mean, people in the stadium were booing, and it seemed like they were booing Doc Rivers, but they were booing that there wasn't more before the game. So they could have done better, and it's okay to say they could have done better. It's not, you know, it's not anything more than that. But anyway, I don't know. That's my thoughts. The tributes were cool. Stadium was pretty loud. Like, we gave them an ovation. I didn't hear anyone booing. Like, you know, it was good. It was good.
Yeah. Yep.
But I forgot what I was gonna say. I don't remember.
Is Jeff Peterson talking to us in chat?
I don't know. I don't know who he's talking to. I was rooting for the Blazers to win this game. Like, I was there in the stadium being loud with everyone else. Like,
yelling defense and cheering. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's just trolling in chat. So, yeah. I mean, I was rooting for the Blazers. Like, I said, okay, I want the Blazers to win, but if they don't win, I want Dame to hit a buzzer beater 3. You know what I mean? Like, I wanted it to be an epic loss where Dame and his homecoming. Like, if we're gonna lose, I want it to be that way. Which, you know, even if they lost this game, it still would have been a good game. You're playing against a top team in the league, and you're competitive. Even if it was a close loss, still would have been a good game. They were 10.5-point underdogs. So this was a good performance by them, man. They were active defensively. They played with intensity, and a lot of guys had good offensive games. I don't think it was necessarily due to good ball movement or anything. Like, during the second half, they got pretty stagnant. During the first half, they played with more pace, and that's part of what got Scoot going. And yeah, I mean, it was a well-played game. It was a well-played game. I just remembered what I wanted to say, you know, in terms of this organization being powerless, though. I don't want to go too deep into this. We can go into this later. But we're already starting to hear the excuses set up that, like, Portland had to keep Malcolm Brogdon at the deadline. I'm seeing a bunch of people start saying, what if they only get offered a second-round pick and that's it? Which, bro, they're going to get better offers than that. They're going to get an offer good enough that they should take. There's no doubt about it in my mind at all. But we're already starting to hear, like, what if all the offers are completely terrible? Like, they should just keep them. So if they keep them, it's fine. Like, we're starting to already hear a bunch of that noise. And it's, like, literally a repetition of basically all our assets never have any value ever. And there's nothing we can do to ever get anything for anything we have in a trade. So, But I don't want to go too deep into that right now. I want to talk about the game. But we're going to talk about that a little bit later because it's kind of ridiculous. Who do you want to start off with in this one, Eric? I mean, you had lots of good individual performances, so you have a few different guys to pick from.
Yeah, well, let's talk about Dame first. Is that okay?
Yeah, I talked a little bit about him, so.
Yeah. Man, I saw this on Twitter, and I don't know if it was Worldwide Wob or someone else, but Brook Lopez ruined a chance. I don't. Who knows what would have happened, and it's just weird to think about this possibly. I mean, it was setting up perfectly for Dame to shoot a game-winning shot. Whether it went in or not, whether you wanted it to go in or not, is completely up to every person individually. But this game was setting up for a Dame attempt at a game winner, and Brook Lopez for some reason decided to take a pump fake step back three, and even though Dame's I forgot who was guarding Dame, but he was sagging off enough to where if he would have passed to Dame would have had a legit shot. So yeah, it was just someone on Twitter said that would have been could have possibly been one of those all-time memory type plays in NBA history, and Brook Lopez decided to shoot a three instead with a guy in his face. I don't know, it was kind of funny.
It was funny. It also kind of pissed me off, and it didn't piss me off from the standpoint of like I wanted Milwaukee to win. It pissed me off from a standpoint of like, bro, what are you doing? Like just it was just kind of ludicrous. It pissed me off because of how ludicrous it was. You're in Portland, Brolo. You're in Portland. You got Dame on your team, a guy who shines in these situations, and you're gonna shoot whatever the hell that was, bro. Before that play, Eric, I don't know if you saw, he was arguing with Doc Rivers.
Yeah, well, because Doc even said it after the game. He said that play was for Dame and that he didn't like Brook shooting that. And Brook had taken a similar pump fake step back three earlier, like a minute or two earlier, and missed it bad. And you could tell Doc was mad at that shot in that situation. And so, I think Doc was a little frustrated with Brook taking those two bad threes there at the end.
Yeah. So already trouble in paradise with Doc Rivers as Milwaukee Bucks head coach. Who would have thought? Dame. What I was saying before you hopped on was they don't run enough pick and rolls with him, man. Like I am not a proponent for just completely spamming pick and rolls. But if you got Dame and Giannis, that's kind of, if you're going to spam pick and rolls, that's the best duo to do it with, right? But I think in the playoffs, you got to be able to mix it up, right? You got to be able to get Dame going off the ball. You got to be able to let him cook on the ball, especially once it gets going. But there's a balance there. And in Portland, it was too much spamming ISO and pick and roll. In Milwaukee, it's been the opposite. It's been not enough. And there's just so many plays where like he was just an afterthought, and it was like I could kind of tell watching him in person, like it was tough for him to get a rhythm, and he's like stuck between like, should I be aggressive or should I try and play in the flow of the offense? And then there's a couple times where he's like, okay, I need to be aggressive, so then he'd take a three and miss, and it wasn't the same flow within his game that we've seen in Portland. And, I've watched this dude in person many, many, many times. So you can kind of tell, like, especially sitting close, like I got 100 level tickets, and it was different. And I don't think it was due to, like, a lack of burst. I don't think it's due to age, because there's multiple times where Dame beat the Blazers off the dribble, where he was able to blow past the defender and get all the way to the rim. I mean, he had a dunk late in this game after playing 40 minutes. I don't think it's due to him aging. Like, I know he's getting up there in age, but I don't think he's lacking any sort of burst. I think it's just the flow of things. Like, I don't think it's a lack of ability at all. I think it's his struggles, especially in January, because he has struggled, is very situational. And kind of saw it in this game.
Yeah. Paul in chat says he moves like he's not allowed to take over. Yeah, I don't know if that's necessarily the case. And like, let's be fair to Doc, I guess. I mean, this is only his second game. He just started coaching Monday. I think he maybe had been doing some stuff in shoot-arounds and practice before that, but like, I don't think he's been given enough time to implement anything yet. He's still trying to learn his team a little bit and what players do best and all that. Like, it's going to take him a couple weeks to get locked in. I mean, he's Doc Rivers, so maybe he doesn't get locked in, but I do think he should get a little bit of time to do that.
He actually gets less locked in as the playoffs go.
That's true, but I mean, he's got a pretty good roster though. The other thing, so Kyle, not that Kyle, this Kyle is actually pretty cool.
We got many Kyles. Shout out to all the Kyles.
So he was at the game. I think he was sitting in your section, Tori, but got the chance to meet him before the game. I didn't meet him. So that was cool. But he says in chat, why inbound to Giannis at the end? And that was also something that didn't make sense to me. Portland's probably going to foul if they're smart. So why are you giving the ball to Giannis, knowing he's going to have to shoot free throws?
Yeah, I didn't understand that at all. Dame should not be inbound in that situation. Like, if you want to have Giannis as an option, also have Dame as an option and have a third guy inbound the ball. Mm-hmm. I saw that. 4.6 seconds left. You're down 3, and I'm like, Dame's inbounding? Out of all people, man. And it's like, the Blazers were probably going to foul to send him to the line, up 3, the 2 free throw things in the final seconds. Like, that was the strategy, but Dame would have been far more likely to make the first free throw, which Giannis didn't. So then it became you had to tip the ball out to 3 instead of having to get a putback around the rim. And that was ball game. So didn't really understand that call from Doc Rivers. Didn't really understand what the point of that was.
Yep. I mean, maybe you're thinking they don't foul and you can get Giannis downhill and then hand off to someone coming the other way. But if Dame's inbounding the ball, it's really hard for him to do. Maybe he was going to dribble to like half court and then hand off to Dame. I don't know.
But like, we've seen that play. Dame had a game winner.
Yeah.
Earlier, I mean, it wasn't really half court. It was kind of just a pitch back to him. But it's like, you already saw that play. You're ready for that play. And Giannis just took it and went. So I don't really understand what that was.
Yeah.
Let's talk. I don't know. Is there anything else you want to say about Dame?
I mean, it was weird watching him in another team uniform. What did you think of that? Yeah.
Definitely in person. Yeah, definitely. And then like when he's shooting free throws and it's like, it felt like the crowd didn't really want to like distract him or be rude, like cheer or like, make noise and clap the clappers when he was shooting free throws. But then when Giannis is at the line, it's just a chorus of 1, 2, 3. So that was kind of interesting. When Dame had his first bucket, there was a cheer, and I was like cheering for Dame to hit deep threes at the start of the game, and then the game was like competitive later. So then it was just like, let's just win this game. Like there wasn't as much cheer for Dame. Yeah, it was kind of like he's on the other team. But yeah, it was strange, man. It was strange for sure.
Yeah,
and it's just like this team, it's like we're not. I've been thinking about this lately. I like a lot of players on this team, but there isn't that connection. Like the one guy there's a connection for is maybe Ant, and then like maybe Scoot because he's like the young star, right?
Yeah.
There's like a lot of guys where it's just like I'm not connected to Ayton like I was Nurk, like I was Dame, like I was even Josh Hart, I got connected to Josh Hart pretty quickly because that dude played his ass off, and played hard. It's like, and it's not like to say I hate Ayton or anything. I think he's been really good the last 5 games. It's just not that same connection as a fan with like Ayton, Brogdon, all these guys. Part of it is because obviously they're new, but then part of it is like they don't feel like they're a part of the team that will win anything in a way. Like once this team is ready, finally ready to contend, how many of these guys are still going to be here? Probably not Brogdon. Brogdon shouldn't be here. You know what I mean? And it's like weird cheering for a guy that you should get traded, not because he's bad, but because he's good. So
Brogdon's going to retire a Trailblazer.
Dude, I don't want to get oh my god. So it's just, I don't know, like it's different with like Dame. Well, there was that bond between the city and him, and it's just like I don't know if there will ever be another guy with that same bond. Like it was just special with Dame, and it's gonna take a lot of work for somebody to create that same bond. It feels like there will be fan favorites, but Dame wasn't just a fan favorite. There was something special there that probably can't be replicated.
Well, it's like the one that got away. When that happens to you, and then you like go on dates and you meet people who are nice or whatever, or like seemingly in the past would have been people that you would have enjoyed going out with, but it's just like you're missing your the one that you really had your heart set on. So a little bit of that. It's still fairly new. It's still kind of weird. And this is the first time seeing Dame come here as a member of another team. So I don't know, but like Dame's was also, it was pretty soon after he came on. I mean, he starts right away, plays pretty well as a rookie, wins Rookie of the Year, all that kind of stuff. So I think the emotions are still kind of at play there. I don't necessarily think there's anyone on the team that's like tough to root for. I mean, maybe sometimes when there's lack of effort and things like that, it can get frustrating. But there's a lot of guys who work hard on this team as well. They're just not necessarily starters or the main guys, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It was just weird, too, because, like, we draft Scoot, right? And Dame's gone. And it's like this fan base, I feel like, really wants to have that same bond with Scoot, right? Like where Scoot is able to develop into a superstar caliber player that embraces the community and is just like, that guy. And then in the first half, it was like, this is what we wanted, and it was weird because I think that was his best half as a Blazer, Eric. That first half, that first half, he was just phenomenal, I thought. But it's like he's coming off the bench. He only plays 13 minutes in the first half and has 15 points on really efficient shooting, 4 assists. Like, he was great, right? And it's like, it's hard to even start to embrace him at that level when the team won't even, they won't start him because you got Malcolm Brogdon here. And it's like, I understand that, he's done better coming off the bench this year, so this isn't really a complaint to say, like, he should be starting or this or that. It was just like he starts going off like that, and it was kind of weird. It was like, what in the world? This is what we were waiting for. This is what we were waiting for all season. It was just the first time we really saw it, and it came against Dame. There's just something about it that was just, man, it was sick. Like, Scoot's plays got me super hyped, but also there's just something about it that was just like, man, we need this consistently, and I want to start embracing him.
Yeah.
But he's only playing 22 minutes a game when he plays great.
Yep.
And it's like he becomes an afterthought. Like he has this heater, he has this huge run, and then he's like stuck playing off the ball or like trying to isolate and like struggling because he's not an ISO player yet, and it's just like, man, it's hard. I don't know what it is. There's just something about it that bothers me in terms of we don't play him enough. He's just coming off the bench, and then he can have a great half, and then the next half becomes an afterthought. And I don't think it's his fault. I think it's as much the system and us slowing things down, not playing with the same pace we did in the first half, and it's frustrating.
Well, another thing it is, Tori, when you come in, you play well, and then you go to the bench like halfway through the second quarter, and then you have halftime, and then you have half of the third quarter, like in real time. That's like an hour almost before you're playing again. Like so you come in the game, you're doing well, you're all like he was hyped. He hit that shot at the end of the quarter, and things were going well. You could tell he was into the game. He was making great decisions. Dude, that Simons didn't hit the shot, but Scoot drove, and I was telling my mom, like, dude, Simons is open in the corner. I hope Scoot hits that pass it to Simons. And Scoot drives. I didn't think he even saw Simons, and he just puts it right on the money from in the paint all the way out to the corner. And I was like, yes, Scoot, that's what I've been waiting for, man. Drive and like collapse the defense and kick it out to your shooters. And I was so excited. And then, like I said, then you sit for like an hour, and it's hard to like come back in the game and then get yourself going again. And then like it's really tough to do. I thought he probably should have sat for a few minutes and came back in maybe at the end of the second quarter, just to get back in the game for a few minutes and reward him for playing well. It's tough, man. I don't know. And this is exactly why I mean, no matter how good of a job he's doing mentoring Scoot, like I just don't want this problem on the team. I want all these minutes to go to Scoot so he can learn on the fly and work through his mistakes, even if it costs us wins. I think it's more important than playing Brogdon just so we win a game like this, you know?
Yeah, I understand when he struggles, only playing him 22 minutes, but it's just he should not be having a game like this where he only plays 22 minutes. And I mean, there's just people on Twitter that are like, man, you know what? Maybe I just go read it because this is just kind of indicative of some things. It's like basically people are saying, you don't want to sacrifice winnable games right now by catering to young players because Scoot makes a couple of mistakes and gets yanked, right? We're going to have to talk about Chauncey's quote on that. And it's just like, okay, so he made a couple of mistakes. He had 2 turnovers, forces 15 points on efficient shooting. Like, at what point are you going to trust him to play through a couple mistakes? They were letting him play through an insane amount of mistakes at the start of the season. And now that he's playing better, now they have a shorter leash because of Malcolm Brogdon or Anthony Simons. Like, I thought Ant had a good game. It wasn't like the team was necessarily better when he was out the game and Scoot was in the game. Like, Scoot was a +5, Ant was a -11, Ayton was a -10. Like, I understand that. Here's my thing. Scoot has had some hot starts to games, and he's had some struggles in second halves. And I feel like the leash gets a little too short in the second halves when Scoot starts to struggle. And I feel like when he starts to struggle, it gets in his own head, and he loses his confidence. And I think partly what a cause for that might be is he gets yanked a little too quickly, or when he gets subbed out, he knows he's not going back in the game no matter what, no matter how he played, no matter if it's just 1 or 2 mistakes. He knows that it's basically, I can't make a mistake, I can't have a stretch where I struggle in this game, or else I'm going to get subbed out and not get subbed back in. And you saw him play super confidently in the first half. In the second half, he makes a couple mistakes, but the offense was pretty damn stagnant. I think his mistakes were due to the stagnant-ass offense more than anything, and he gets subbed out for it, and it's like, man, we got to build his confidence. We got to build him up. People say he's not ready to start. Okay, well, build him up to the point where he is, which means that when he has a great game, let him make a couple of mistakes and let him work through them. Don't bench him and only play him 9 minutes in the second half when he was arguably the best player on the court in the first half. So that stuff I can't stand, because it's not, in my opinion, it's not great long term. I also do not think that it was necessarily better, because I thought Scoot was playing good and Scoot was playing confident. And Scoot has had some good performances lately. Scoot is starting to turn a corner, in my opinion. So, I don't know. It's frustrating, Eric.
Yeah, so last 9 games, Scoot's averaging like 20 minutes.
Yeah. Bro.
I don't get it, man. Yeah, I completely agree with you. You got to let them work their mistakes on the court. You can only watch so much, in my opinion. And it's one thing, like, because I saw this argument, like, well, there's been lots of good players that sat and learned behind other players. But for the most part, those were all really good teams, Like, even Anthony, comes in and has 37 points his last game of his rookie year. But that was a 3 seed. Like, it's not like we were rebuilding or something, Like, we were the 3rd seed. Thanks to that game, actually. We tried to knock it to 3rd seed for some reason, but that's beside the point. But, like, CJ, like, his first 2 years, he barely plays, and most of that was due to injury and stuff. I think they actually wanted to play him right away. But the Blazers were good those 2 seasons. Those were the last 2 LaMarcus, Wes Matthews, and Batum teams, and they were good. They weren't rebuilding, and so that's a different situation, in my opinion.
Yeah.
In the Blazers situation, your whole franchise made a pivot to Scoot Henderson from Damian Lillard. Yeah. And it's not fair to Scoot to put these like expectations on him or that pressure on him specifically, but strictly from the front office's perspective, when you make that decision, you have to then live with that decision and let him at least try to make that decision a good decision, And that doesn't mean, when you make that decision, that doesn't mean you then also keep veterans around and try to win games and play them over the guy you decided to switch your whole franchise to. It's baffling how people just do not understand that.
Yeah. So the quote that Chauncey gave, Eric, is part of the reason why I'm more frustrated about this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And it's like, great win. I kind of wanted to save this to be positive about things first. There's still other plays we're going to talk about where we're going to be positive. But as you guys know, I am not going to hide anything I think is a problem or something I don't like, just to try and cater to people that want us to just spam positivity whenever we can. Okay? Because there's a quote after this game that I just think is terrible. And I'm quoting a tweet because I didn't actually listen to said interview, but this is a tweet from Austin White, who covers the Blazers for Portland Tribune, and this is what his tweet reads. He says, Billups said he didn't put Scoot back in because of being unsure of what Scoot might or might not do. Said they had a chance to win the game and felt it better that Scoot was off. That is a horror. That's after the first half that this dude had, to say that because of a couple of mistakes is horrible. Horrible. That is not good for a young player. Absolutely not. To hear. My God.
You know what that is? It's Chauncey Billups' version of we're 29th on defense with Derrick Jones Jr. and 29th without him.
Yeah, that's just a horrible, horrible quote, man. Well, if he was 0 for 6 and struggled, and like he knew he was struggling, and he only plays 18 minutes, and you get asked about it and just be like, yeah, Scoot was just struggling today. So he went with some other guys. Like, okay, cool, that's what it is. Scoot was great, but you're sitting here like, I was unsure of what would happen with him, so I think we were better off just not playing him after he had a great stretch where he was playing with a ton of confidence. That's not good for a young player's confidence. And the main thing we need to do is build Scoot's confidence, because when Scoot plays with confidence, he looks like a completely different player. I don't think he consistently plays with confidence, which shouldn't be a surprise because he's a 19-year-old in the best league in the world as a rookie, right? So his confidence is probably going to waver because there's a steep learning curve that would shake anyone's confidence. Okay, you saw him get confident in garbage time last game, right? Because of the players he was going against as the Blazers got a blowout win. And he hits 3 threes in a row. He had never hit 3 threes in a row before. But look, he's confident going against, end of the bench guys. And people say, oh, well, yeah, he had a good game because, he went off against scrubs. But he played with more confidence against scrubs and went off because he was playing with more confidence, right? And then at the start of this game, that was maybe the most confident I ever saw Scoot. Like the way he was driving into people, the way he was finishing that 3 he took, like he looked so confident, man. And I've been waiting for him to show that level of confidence all year. And it's something you have to foster. That is something you have to cultivate within him. And stuff like this, I think, does the opposite. Yeah. And I have a major issue with it.
Yep, agreed. I was so into watching Scoot in this first half, and I was like, yeah, dude, like, this is... And I saw people in chat saying this as well. It's like, the dude does seem to have a knack for stepping up for big games and big moments and stuff. Like when the G League Ignite played... Wemby,
yeah,
like he had a monster game, and so yeah, you wonder, like maybe the problem is he's just not the kind of guy who can thrive in like a sucky situation. So we need to give him as many minutes, in my opinion, to make sure it's not sucky. But I went to I didn't go to, but since you weren't live yet on my drive home, I decided to flip on the 5th quarter in Chad doing.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you listened to it at all, Tori, or not on your way home.
No.
So Chad is and like he had people calling in saying the same things. This is what I think you were calling out on Twitter as well.
Yeah.
Chad was saying that Chauncey deserves a lot of credit for how he's developing Scoot right now, and that he's making sure he only plays against bench units, and that's good for his confidence, and that this will ultimately be better for him than playing him against better players and in crunch time minutes. And the organization knows what they're doing and all this stuff. And
yeah, okay. Well, that's just a bad take. Because he started going off against Dame.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, that's why
and part of the reason I felt like was because it was against Dame.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, that wasn't against the bench lineup.
I think you're a little, maybe, there's a little truth to be just, I don't know, some people can come in the game and like when you're a quick player like Scoot, you can come in and you're just like different than Anthony, and Malcolm is very methodical and slow. His style, it's more like craftiness than speed, and so like you can come in a game and it's just a different look for a defense. And I think maybe there's something to that. Like Scoot just has a gear that the other team hasn't seen yet in that game. But yeah, like you said, the line, it's never just you're playing against the backup point guard only when you play. He played several, like I'd probably say half of his minutes were against Bucks starters and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah, so he came in, Brook Lopez was still in the game. Damian Lillard was still in the game. Giannis Antetokounmpo was still in the game. He got subbed out a little bit after Scoot came in, but Scoot had a bucket before then, right? I mean, those are all starters. He's playing against, Bobby Portis is a starting caliber player. He's not no bench scrub, okay? So then he's playing against Bobby Portis. Jay Crowder has started for a good portion of his career and is a veteran. You know what I mean? Like, and he plays great. Like, this is a really good team. if that was the case, then it would make sense for him to not have a good game when he gets subbed in and is playing against lineups like that. But here's the thing. I understand the logic, okay? But when he starts doing well against those bench units, give him the chance to build upon that at like the end of the first half. Sub him out, let him catch his breath for 3-4 minutes, sub him back in. Let him try and build upon that. Instead, you're limiting him to only playing bench units. He needs experience against the best and the best. He needs experience playing against starters. Okay? Even though it doesn't look good, I mean, the mindset is basically like, A, he has to play good in order to grow. Okay, you can't learn from failure and that uncomfortable situations or challenges aren't beneficial, which I absolutely do not agree with. And B, it's like, okay, well, you have to play him against bench units for his confidence, but then when he makes a couple of mistakes and you sub him out because of it, and then after the game you say, I don't know what he was going to do after he plays great, that is not building his confidence whatsoever. So that's my whole problem with that sort of take, is it's not consistent. Like, when he plays a good game and he only plays 20 minutes and it basically becomes like, well, I only get to play against bench lineups, I don't really see how that's confidence building when you don't give him a chance to build upon the confidence he has against bench lineups. So it doesn't really make sense to me.
Yeah. And then the other thing Chad was saying, this might have been, if you expand Chauncey's quote out further, this might have been what he said too, is that in crunch time, teams are sagging off Scoot, and that's cramping or collapsing the defense for Ant and Grant. And
bro, that pisses me off. He's shooting 35% from three since he came back from injury.
Right.
But we're going to play Thibault against starters because he shoots 36% from three.
Well,
if they're sagging off of him, let him shoot the ball.
Well, it's only a problem, too, because we go once again, we did it in this game. I mean, it worked out, but we had 23 assists in this game going into the fourth quarter, only have 3 in the fourth. We just completely go ISO heavy and had several possessions.
Like a lost post-game stream, but this is all facts.
Yeah. Well, and so I mean, we'll talk about the good performance in a minute. I mean, but I think Scoot's like.
Let me just say this. This is not negativity. This is, I want to play Scoot more when he's killing it. When Scoot is playing great, play him more. Let's maximize that. That's not a negative thing. It's not a negative thing. People take it negatively because we have a problem with what the team's doing. But Chauncey's the one being negative towards Scoot. Saying, I don't know what he's going to do. It was better with him off the floor. Okay.
Rich has helicopter coaching to protect Scoot from Scoot. Like, it makes no sense.
Free Scoot, man. Let him, like, if we lost... This game was sick to win, you know what I mean? It was a playoff atmosphere. I thought that was great. I would have loved for Scoot to experience that playoff atmosphere against a good team while being on the court going against Dame.
Yeah.
Even if he struggled, I think that would have been a good experience for him to have compared to just watching like a spectator for the final however many minutes, just like you and I were.
So Chad finished his point by saying, look at Scoot earlier in the season compared to now. I don't think you can deny that what they're doing is working.
He's a 19-year-old. He's going to improve with any sort of reps.
I know.
That's confirmation bias.
I know. I know.
God, man. Like, okay, fine. Whatever.
Yeah. But yeah, I see. To me, and here's the other problem. Well, there's 2 problems. One, Sharp isn't even playing right now. What the heck is going to happen when Sharp comes back if we still have Brogdon in the lineup?
Exactly.
Like, how are we going to manage all of that? And then, so what, we're going to play Scoot less, and then we're not going to play Sharp in crunch time too because he does better against second units or some crap? I don't know.
It's just the opposite of what we said before the season, where it's like this season isn't about wins and losses as much as it's about player development and maximizing our youth.
And what happened at the end of last season when we started not playing our veterans and giving Sharp as much responsibility and let him finish games and do all that kind of stuff? What happened?
He blossomed.
He thrived, right? Yeah, exactly. Like, how do we know we're not, like, holding Scoot back from thriving right now? You know?
Yeah.
And that's the problem. Like,
but, you know, they'll say, oh, we started earlier in the year and looked awful. Well, yeah, the start of his rookie season, guess what? He should be much better by the end of his rookie season.
mm-hmm.
So let him grow into that role. Like, but that's why we got to trade Brogdon, man. And it's just, you can't... God, what's the phrase I want to use? Like, there's a point where you got to let Scoot sink or swim, okay?
Yep.
And there's a point where you got to stop trying to completely coddle Scoot. Where, he can't, his confidence can't handle, his mentality can't handle playing against too many starters. So they know what they're doing because they are making sure that he doesn't. What are we talking about, bro?
Well, so, yeah, we won this game. But what about the rest of the season?
Yeah.
All the games where you and I have been saying this exact same thing. Why isn't Scoot playing in the fourth quarter in crunch time? So that by this time, you don't have the quote from Chauncey, like, I don't know what I'm going to get from him, good or bad, so I don't want to risk playing him.
Yeah.
Because you've already seen it for like 10 games. That's exactly why both you and I have thought this whole season should have been about just letting him, as you put it, sink or swim from the beginning of the season. And I know he got hurt, but he comes back and he gets limited and doesn't play much at all during crunch time. But if he would have been playing in crunch time, then by tonight, we're over halfway through the season. He should be used to playing in these crunch time situations, and the coaching staff should have ways to run our offense to not make it a problem that they're not guarding Scoot, whether that's playing him on ball more or, having him cut off ball or set screens for someone on ball or something. I feel like there's so many things we could have done this season to make it to where we're not still questioning whether we should even try to run Scoot out there in crunch time. What are we even doing this season?
Yeah. Yeah. Frustrating, man.
And really,
Scoot, the last two games has been his best 2-game stretch.
Mm-hmm.
He had 22 points on 5 for 9 shooting. I mean, it was a great fourth quarter. But it was like, okay, that's 3 straight quarters where he's phenomenal.
And this one wasn't a blowout, yeah.
So, I mean, just give him a little bit more leash. Give him a little bit more freedom. And it's okay to challenge him once in a while. I understand maybe not wanting to throw him to the Wolves in a starting lineup, but when he's playing good, loosen the slack on that leash and give him opportunities to build on it. And I feel like we just don't give him an opportunity to build on it. And then after the game to say that's just not what Chauncey should say. Like, that's just a bad thing to say after a game where he was great. And it's like Chauncey has a tendency to say things that aren't the right things to say after one of his players have a good game. Remember the Anthony Simons having like 43 points and this and that, and he after the game he's saying like, yeah, we just don't have an alpha on this team, and like, there's context behind it, and people say, he's just talking about like in the first half they don't have a guy that like starts the game too well, and it's just like all this like twisted ass context. But it's like, okay, well, let's just listen to what he's saying though. Like, he's saying we don't got an alpha. That's after Ant has a 43-point game, bro. Like, I understand if you want to say that if the whole team struggles for 3, 4, 5 games, like if he said that after losing by 62 against OKC, I wouldn't have had a problem with it. But it was after Ant's best game of the season where he absolutely looked like an alpha. And then like this game with Scoot, it's just, man, like basically, I'm not sure what Scoot was going to do. Basically, he's telling me, you're scared to play him. You're scared to play him. That's not good. You should not be scared to play him. Okay? When we're 15 and 33. Like, what are you scared of? I don't know what he's scared of. I don't know.
Who knows?
Can't be scared to play him.
But here's the other thing. Okay, so we talked about this a little bit. Scoot seems to thrive in these high pressure situations, and these moments where he's hyped up and he's got like the pressure on him. Like, seemingly he's been better in those situations than coming in and playing and not really caring about the game or, whatever. So how do we know if that doesn't mean like in the clutch moments he wouldn't be like good,
Yeah.
And how do we know that unless we try it? It's just kind of funny.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. He's been really good this month compared to the rest of the season. I would love to expand his role given his recent play because he's been playing good, man. Like today that first half was the Scoot Henderson from like the G League Ignite, but like he was efficient. He was 6 for 11. He was 1 for 2 from 3. I mean, he continues to shoot the 3 ball well. Like after this game, he's like 30. He's probably 31% from 3 now. Given a 2 for 24 start from 3 for him to be 31%, that's pretty damn good. Like considering, and let me do the actual math.
Well, the 1-3 he missed too. He had an open 3, passed it up, and then did like a bad step back 3 that was not a good shot. But
yeah, he should have just taken the 3. But like he second guessed himself. You don't want him second guessing himself. So Chauncey shouldn't second guess him and be, I don't know what he was gonna do. He played great all game, but I don't know if he was gonna keep it up. So I had to bench him. Like I don't like that. But on the season, he's 46 for 149. That's 30.9% from 3. He started 2 for 24. So if you take that out, 44 for 125, that's 35.2% from 3.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if in the comments of like they're sagging off of him, well, in goggles, he's a 35% 3-point shooter. So you're telling me that you don't want a 35% 3-point shooter open? Like, that's not good. Like, that's not good enough? That's not good enough? I don't get it. If teams play off of him, I mean, it should just be like, okay, well, he's been shooting the ball well enough. If teams are playing off of him, okay, we'll just give him the ball and shoot the damn ball. Every time you're open, shoot it. Shoot with confidence. Because when he has, he's been an okay shooter. Anyway.
Yep.
I want the best for Scoot. Like, Scoot is the most important thing this season. I know this feels kind of negative given that we won the game, but I thought Scoot played great, and I thought Scoot should play more. Simple. That's simple. And yep. I want to make sure we're doing the best job possible of letting him build upon his success. That's it. It's that simple. That's simple. So, anyway, let's move on. Talk about Ant. I mean, he hits another clutch shot, Eric. Well, he's been the clutchest player in the league this year.
Yeah. I mean, you can make a case he should win that award, right?
Well, yeah, it depends on, does he have to play 65 games, and does team record come into play?
Yeah, I don't know. But I mean, if you only have like 20 wins and you had a game, you had clutch shots in like 15 of those 20 wins, isn't that good?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you saw this play or not, but there was a play Anthony Simons made today I was super impressed with, and it was on defense. There was a play where Anthony was off ball, and he noticed Scoot getting caught on a screen,
mm-hmm.
and before like Scoot could even not get there. He just left his guy and ran all the way across the court and knew that he had to go cover Dame and as he was running by, Scoot told him to go get the corner guy. And he saw something off ball that Dame was about to be wide open for a three because Scoot couldn't get through a screen, and completely blew up the play and got a stop just by using his brain off ball. And little things like that are really impressive to me, and I think they go mainly unnoticed by this fan base, everyone who talks about Anthony. But I thought he really competed hard on defense tonight and did a pretty good job on that end.
Yeah, there's a couple mistakes that were bad that stood out to me. There was one where they had a full shot clock of great defense where then Ant got back cut from the corner and he was pissed at himself. He hit the stanchion. He slapped it.
Yeah.
And there's like another where it's just like bad closeout, could speed off the dribble. He did get scored on more than that, but a lot of times it was him guarding Chris Middleton, who's just like DeMar DeRozan.
Middleton hit on all of our
6'7", and just on fire from mid ranges, and it's like Ant was doing a good job contesting him. Like there's nothing more you can ask him to do, and that's probably a shot that you live with. He was just on fire on mid range shots. Like Chris Middleton shot the ball 9 for 13, 3 for 5 from 3. Like he was on fire. He just had it going. He was cooking, and that's a guy who's been an all-star in this league. So those types of possessions, even though Ant's getting scored on, no problem with them. Getting backdoor because he falls asleep, that's the stuff that he has to continue to try and clean up. But he has good moments too, and I don't think any of his defensive struggles are due to a lack of effort or a lack of caring or a lack of IQ. I think there's just a couple times where he tries to close out too hard, or he is focusing on the ball too hard or out of position. Like there's just some like things that he needs to clean up. And then sometimes he's undersized and we switch a lot and he gets stuck in mismatches.
Yep. Hold on a second.
Everything good?
Yeah, just about to hide someone in chat.
Oh. Yeah. Just somebody coming in being super rude for no reason. Okay. Goodbye. Unnecessary.
I just don't like when they bash the whole community, you know?
Yeah, no, I mean, I just ban them without even saying anything, move along. But, yeah, so Ant, 10 for 19, I mean, clutch shooting, hit some threes. They were running drop. They run a lot of drop with Brook Lopez, and Ant got going a little bit off that. They were giving him space to pull up from three. It's not the right scheme. 4 for 9 for Ant. You can't run drop on him like that, just like you can't run drop on Dame. Good game from him. Ayton, Eric. 20 points, 11 rebounds.
Before I get to Ayton real quick, Boom says, great game and evening. Appreciate you guys. It was great meeting you.
Good to meet you too, man.
You got to meet Boom too?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I met him after the game. I waited.
Nice. That's
Caught
cool.
up with him. Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, I met him and his friend Brandon, who he said introduced him to us. It's good to meet you guys as well.
Shout out to Brandon doing our marketing for us. Appreciate it.
But yeah, DeAndre Ayton.
Yeah, took it to Lopez a couple times. The mid-range shot wasn't falling, but the shots around the rim were better. And he had another efficient night. Another night where he scores 20. Another night where he rebounds the ball pretty well. We did give up a lot of offensive rebounds, 10 offensive rebounds. We had 9 on our own, so almost made that up. Ayton was solid.
Well, Ayton had... There was that one play where I forgot who lobbed it to him, but someone lobbed it to him. He got blocked by Giannis, got the ball back, missed another shot, got the ball back again, and then turned it over. So there was 2 of our offensive rebounds. I thought offensively, Ayton was pretty good. Um, Still think he settles a little too much for the mid range. I'd rather him step out. He was shooting some threes in warm ups. Looked pretty good, but yeah, I do agree that I like that lately. At least he's been trying to take it and be a little more physical inside.
Yeah. Yeah, it's difference in attitude. He got hyped after one of his buckets. As long as he has efficient nights like this, I'm okay with him shooting mid ranges. I just, when the mid ranges result in him having nights where he's 4 for 11, it's not good. Not good, because he doesn't get to the line and doesn't shoot threes. So he has to shoot 60% from the field, roughly, in order to be an efficient player. 10 for 17, that's what? 59% from the field? Efficient night.
Yeah. Yep. Did you? Well, the block on Dame was cool. But did you see the interactions between him and Billups the whole fourth quarter?
No. Wasn't really paying attention. What happened?
So this is one thing I like being at the games for. There were, I mean, I lost track of how many times Billups threw up his arms and yelled at Ayton down the court after a defensive possession.
Yeah.
Yeah, so obviously there's something going on there on defense that Billups was not happy about. I think multiple times it was he was saying too far off Brook around the 3-point line.
Definitely. He had an issue with that today.
Yeah. And yeah, so several times
he has an issue with
Phillips
that with
like, and then he'd be like,
yeah,
motioning for him to come here on his way back, and yeah,
he has an issue of sagging off too much with a lot of shooting big men, I've noticed.
Yeah.
So I think it's been an ongoing problem before this game.
Right. I just think I think he's messing up the coverages a little bit, but I mean, Dewap's not a good defender either, so they don't really have anyone else they can turn to right now. So they just kind of they kind of have to live with it.
Yep.
But I mean, other than that, it's hard to say anything about Ayton right now. He's been playing well.
Yeah, they do got Uprise to turn to, and I mean, he's not playing a ton, 13 minutes, but he's been effective. Dude, he was good in this game. The pass fake to the drive and dunk, the threes, like, pretty active on the glass. Dewap was good, man. He was part of that second quarter where Scoot gets going. He was a part of that run the Blazers went on. It wasn't like a crazy run, but you're going against Milwaukee. If you can go on any sort of run with your bench, because Milwaukee will normally keep one of Dame or Giannis in, and then they have Bobby Portis off the bench. Like, they got a pretty solid, top 6-7 guys. If you're able to go on any sort of run with Scoot leading the show and Dewap Reith, that's 2 rookies. That's impressive.
Yeah.
So I was happy with him. And then I don't know. Jabari I thought was good. Surprised he didn't play a little more. Kamara I talked about in the intro. Took 3 charges late in the second half.
Okay. So this goes back to our point with Scoot. Tamani Kamara, right?
Yeah.
First half comes in. I swear it was like it might have been longer than this, but it felt like it was. He came in for a minute and then got subbed out, like almost immediately. And you could even see him because I think it was Thibault that came in for him or someone, and he was like, me, like he was all confused. They went back to the bench, and Chauncey gives him a pat on the butt, and and I don't think he comes back in the first half. How many minutes did he end up playing? Because I know he
23.
played a ton in the second half.
He played 23 minutes.
So yeah, it must have been at least a couple minutes then in the first half. But yeah, it was so weird. But then, he plays in the second half and gets a little bit more minutes, and what does he do? He makes plays. Like that's why I just want to let these guys figure it out, because those 3 plays he made were absolute game changer plays when you take a charge, especially on a guy like Giannis who has a full head of steam and is going towards the basket. When you can do that and you get the actual respect from the refs and they don't call it a block or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, like it just he got left in and he made another one. Like, he makes 2 plays and then Chauncey keeps him in when normally he would go back to Jabari, probably, and Tamani rewards him with another one. And I love when guys get the opportunity and step up and seize that opportunity. And that's exactly why I wanted when Scoot was playing well today to also have that opportunity to do that same thing.
Yeah. So Tamani played 9 minutes in the first half. He played the last 6.5 of the first quarter, then got subbed back in with a little over 7 minutes remaining in the second quarter. Played like 2.5 minutes, and then that's when Thibault subbed into him. What you're talking about? He basically finished the game. They went to situational lineups like they're in the final minute or so.
Yeah.
But Kamara was in during those final minutes with Ayton, with Grant. It was basically that starting front court combination that we saw earlier in the season. And I like that Chauncey elected to give Kamara that run, because I thought he was being a bit disruptive with Milwaukee trying to get into some of their half-court offense. Like, his length was bothering Dame a little bit. I felt like he was kind of wearing Dame down a little bit, because most NBA point guards don't have to, like, stress about bringing the ball up the court. Like, don't have to shake a guy on an inbounds pass on the baseline out of a timeout, full court baseline, like, in order to get the ball in, and then have to deal with that sort of pressure. So, I do like, some level of pressure. If you're not getting beat, you're not fouling, and that sort of thing. Tamani, those 3 charges were huge momentum plays. And basically, the Blazers struggled with Giannis all game long in terms of fouling him when he drove. Some of those fouls were BS calls, but Giannis is going to get those BS calls. You almost got to take that into account when you defend him, that there's going to be like 3 to 5 calls a game that anyone else in the game aren't going to get, but Giannis gets. Like, it's quite frustrating. Like, I think he gets an absolutely wild whistle at times. And there was a few plays in this game where it's just like, man, I don't think that gets called the other way around. But you got to adjust to that. The refs are a part of a game. How do you adjust to that? You slide with him as he drives. You get your hands off him so he can't swing his arms up through it. And then when he tries to get aggressive and he tries to go through your chest, you absorb the contact and you see what they call. Right? Tamani got a charge that way. The other way you do it is you step up and rotate and take a charge outside the charge circle. Tamani did that. So that's how you got to deal with Giannis, right? And that gets him in foul trouble. We had 5 fouls at the end of this game. If this game goes into overtime, there's a good chance he fouls out, right? That's how you deal with Giannis. So Tamani, those 2 charges were great considering we sent him to the line 11 times. We fouled him quite a bit. We got to chant numbers a little too much. Although it was fun.
It wasn't, outside of the first couple, it wasn't even getting to 10 when it shot.
I know.
That was a funny part.
Well, he sped it up. The first couple, it was at like 12. So then he speeds it up. And it's like, okay, that's a successful thing though, right? Like, we're getting him to speed it up a little bit. Doesn't get to take his time. I don't know. I don't know how it doesn't make him miss more, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because that would be distracting.
But maybe he just doesn't get distracted like you.
I mean, if I wanted to take that much time, and I was hearing a crowd get close to 10, in the back of your head, wouldn't it be like, okay, I got to shoot? And then all of a sudden you're rushing it, maybe? I don't know. It's interesting. But Kamara, it wasn't just the charges, too. Like, there was various plays where he's denying Giannis the ball and just being active. And I think he's slipped a little bit defensively as the year's gone on. At the start of the season, he played some really good defense, and I want him to get back to that. Like, offensively, he's kind of rough right now. He did have a nice drive and finish with his right hand, which is his offhand. He was 2 for 3. He's a guy that teams can leave more so than Scoot on the three-point line, but he finishes the game. I understand it because he was playing good defense. I'm actually happy with it. I'm happy that Chauncey let him continue to play, and he ends up playing 14 minutes in a second half where he was our best defender.
But, like, he hasn't been great recently.
Yeah, and I'm not sure why.
Yeah, but it's interesting to me that he gets the benefit of the doubt to play in that situation when he's kind of an unknown as well. But I
guess the logic is like he's not going to be handling the ball as much. So if Chauncey's scared of a rookie, like he's going to be less scared of the guy that just has to play defense.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Well, I did think his length was a problem for Dame, and his full court pressure. I think I don't think it like really bothered them, but I think it did kind of mess up their timing of their offense and like his full court pressure and stuff. They had several possessions where it took them a while just to even get the ball up the court to set up their plays.
Yeah, Kamara was huge, man. And then Jabari, I thought, had some good minutes there in the first half. Hit a 3 at the start of the game. Was 3 for 4, 5 boards. Like, I thought you could make the case that he maybe should have played a little bit more. Although it's like, it's a little different at the forward spots with guys like that too. I mean, like who's you're gonna take away from Grant's minutes? It's not like Jabari is the type of guy that like needs a bunch of reps right now to develop like a Scoot. Because he's just like lunch pail, dirty work guy, like gonna scrap and claw and use his body and drive. Had a really impressive and one finish. So like given how well he played, 60 minutes feels a little low, but those minutes were given to Kamara, who is also good and is also a young player. So
that's another reason why I want to trade the veterans, though, because then we don't have to worry about it. We can play them both more minutes,
Yeah, I mean, like at this point with Jeremy, we're
just gonna keep everyone.
Here, let's get into this. With Jeremy, it's a little more questionable as to what teams will offer. Let me word it this way with Brogdon, okay? If Joe Cronin can't get a team to give up a first-round pick for Malcolm Brogdon, then I think, if anything, that's confirmation that he does not know how to get back proper value for his assets. I mean, how many times are we going to have a situation where it's, yeah, Joe Cronin, I mean, he just didn't get good enough offers. It takes 2 teams to trade, and you know what I mean? Like he had to do nothing because there wasn't anything good out there when he has an asset that he can sell to 29 other teams. Mm-hmm. We did it with Norm. We did it with Rogo, like, because that was one deal. We did it with the 3rd pick. And if it's a situation where they keep Brogdon, to me, it's because they want to keep Brogdon.
Right.
Because I think there will be at least one team that will offer a first-round pick for Brogdon. And his value is not going to go up, in my opinion, between now and the offseason. So if they keep him past the deadline, that means they want to keep him into next season too. So then it's, how the hell do you figure things out? Because Scoot next season should be much better in playing more minutes. Sharp should be much better in playing more minutes, and same with Ant. So why keep him till the offseason? His trademark is not going to get better. Teams would rather have him for 2 playoff runs than one singular playoff run. Like, he basically becomes a rental starting next season because he's an expiring contract, right? So if teams are trading stuff for him, you have to worry about him leaving. Now, he's the type of guy that likes to stay in a situation, as is evident by he's happy here in Portland. But with him, it's what's the end game with him? You're going to keep him forever and just forever have him playing in front of our young guards even as they improve? Or are you just holding out hope somebody gives up something more in the offseason? Because I think that is hopeless. Like, I don't think he's going to fetch more in the offseason. So what's the end goal?
Who knows with this team, right?
Yeah.
And yeah. Yep. I mean, you have multiple teams that have expiring contracts or whatever, decent contracts to trade that aren't part of their core, like Evan Fournier, and that have been rumored to be interested in Malcolm Brogdon, have a lot of picks or a young player or something that they could use as well. I don't get how we're saying, well, what if he could only get seconds for him? Well, then he's a horrible GM.
Yeah.
And we know
he can't negotiate the price on his own assets then.
Yeah.
Properly. Like,
no.
I mean, we just went through it with nobody wanted to trade anything for the third pick. Like, okay.
Well,
I mean, how many times are we going to play that game until people start to question it?
I also had someone tell me yesterday that after thinking about it, Grimes in a first isn't good value.
Yeah, so the conversation is going one of two ways. It's either no team is willing to give up anything worthwhile for him, or we're going to start acting like any realistic trade proposal for him isn't good enough.
Yeah.
So that we basically both set up an excuse to keep him.
And here's the other thing. I've heard this from everyone that I've gotten a discussion with this with. We don't have to trade him now. We can trade him in the offseason. Yeah, well, yes, you can, but all of a sudden, instead of a year and a half and 2 playoffs, you're trading for someone who's only going to give you a year and 1 playoff. On top of that, teams have less, like I just mentioned, the Evan Fournier thing. New York won't have that option to trade Evan Fournier, and instead they'd have to trade one of their core pieces or whatever if they want Malcolm Brogdon in the offseason. So the time to trade for him, if you're certain teams like Philadelphia, they might have cap space where they can absorb him, but you're then limiting teams to only that situation if they don't have contracts. But right now they have like a Marcus Morris contract that's almost enough to match on its own. And that also benefits the Blazers by getting rid of salary in future years. Whereas if they trade him this summer, they're going to have to match salary. And then even if we're not in the luxury tax fully, we're still, close enough to then maybe we can't use the mid-level exception or whatever. And that affects other moves all season, like it has for 5 seasons now since we made the Western Conference Finals. Every single season has been limited on moves because of what we can do in the offseason or during the season. When we have injuries, we can't even sign like a free agent center to help our depth because we don't have enough room under the luxury tax. So it's just, to me, and then you've talked about this, Tori, if we start sitting players, like, why would we not trade Brogdon now to trade him in the offseason to get like 10 more games of him this season before we like sit him out like we've done with our veterans the last 2 seasons? Like, it makes no sense if you try to like extrapolate what the point of keeping Malcolm is.
Yep. Just doesn't make sense to keep him. And I mean, I see people in chat like, I'm not getting robbed for him. He's not worth trading for only seconds. Again, there's no way that the Blazers, if Joe Cronin effectively shops Malcolm Brogdon, are only getting offers with only seconds. They got a first for Josh Hart last deadline. Joe Cronin was able to get a first for Josh Hart. And there was questions about his contract status and this and that. Brogdon is as good, if not better, than Josh Hart. I think most people would agree that Brogdon is better than Josh Hart. and has a fit on more teams than Josh Hart. The market for Brogdon is better than it was for Josh Hart, and Josh Hart got a first. So how is Brogdon only going to fetch seconds? You know? That's why like the talk about like, well, you can't just trade him for seconds, I think is just to set up like the excuse for them not trading him at all because they want to keep him. Because
and then you can say, well, Cronin couldn't get anything.
That's literally where we're going with this. And like, if we trade him, great. Okay, we get a first back for him, great. Cool. At this point, I'd be kind of happy with just getting a first for him because of the way this conversation is going, just so we don't have to deal with it. But like, I've seen it go this way so many times where it's like nothing else they could have done. Like nobody wanted it. It just always goes back to like the Blazers can't do anything. You know, it's just everything regarding moves, regarding the offseason, regarding the trade deadline always goes back to the Blazers couldn't do anything.
And then this summer, what is Cronin supposed to do? No one wants him.
Yeah, and that's how we end up with him next year. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like, but the thing is all these people were saying that part of the reason the Dame trade was so great was because we would be able to flip Brogdon at the trade deadline for value.
Yeah.
And all of them were saying, like, we don't have to trade him before the season. He can mentor. We're going to trade him at the deadline anyway. But now a lot of those people are going to say, oh, well, they can't get back enough for him, so now we're going to keep him to the offseason. Then we keep him the next season. And it's just pushing the can down the road. Kicking the can down the road. For no reason. So I don't want to do that. Like, just as I've said, embrace the rebuild. Like, literally, it's this simple, okay? For anybody who's like, this postgame show is too negative for a win. We set the standard before the season. It's all about maximizing the rebuild, aka maximizing young talent and maximizing the ability to add more young talent that fits with our window down the line. That's always been the most important thing this season. And everything that we have in terms of praise or critique is very consistent with that standard we set.
And this last summer, I know it's the 30th pick, so if you want to downplay that or whatever, but they were getting him despite him having it wasn't like negative value, but like his value was probably as low as it's ever been in his career this last summer, just based on people scared of his medicals. And I think it was his elbow that he missed a lot at the end of last season with, including the playoffs. And people were scared that he was damaged goods this last summer, and he still had an agreed upon trade in which the Celtics or the Wizards, I forgot which team, ended up with the 30th pick, but one of them was going to end up with the 30th pick for Malcolm Brogdon, and that was without any sort of validation that he's okay. Now that he's been playing great, and he has a good game against Philly, one of the teams that's apparently interested in him. He had 29 points last game against Philly. So like, to me, he's like setting himself up to get good value from them if they're interested in him. And they were a team that last summer when we were talking about Dame trades, they didn't really have first they could trade, but now because of the Harden trade, they do. So I don't understand how he's not worth at least something. Yeah. And I think the answer is he is, and people are just trying to set it up to where if they keep him, they're going to justify it.
John F says, what is Cronin supposed to do? Have Chauncey mentor a point guard? Yeah, have our former all-star point guard coach a point guard? How? Yeah, that'd be awful. I mean, and at the end of the day too, like, I'm okay with them bringing in like a veteran point guard that can be a third string guy like Earl Watson was for Dame, you know? Like, Dame had veteran point guards behind him when he was young that he said did a lot for him. We don't got to have veteran point guards in front of him where Chauncey is too scared to play the young guy because he needs the veteran in there, right? It should be a guy where Chauncey's like, you know what? I'm scared to play either of them. Might as well play the young guy. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, though, Chauncey got to stop being scared to play Scoot when he's playing great. I mean, at the end of the day, Scoot's been great, man. And it's just everything is just I want this team to maximize the direction that they're going. And this is a hot topic tonight because it's like they chose the direction that wasn't Dame.
Mm-hmm.
So it's cool to see that direction, look good on a basketball court tonight and beat Dame and beat the Bucks and all that. This was the funnest game of the year, honestly. But
you don't make the decision to build around Scoot, Anthony, and Sharp, and then decide to keep Malcolm and players like Malcolm. Like, that's no rebuilding teams just do not need to do that. It's just what it is you're trying to do the 2 timeline thing, and you don't even have Dame anymore to do the 2 timeline thing. Yeah. And it didn't work out with Dame, and it's not going to work out without Dame. Like, I think it possibly could have worked if it was executed better. But when you decided to go a route with young players, you don't then pivot months later for no reason into keeping veterans around. Because you could maybe justify it, like last year, for example, with the Utah Jazz, right? They get off to a really hot start. They're around the end of the playoff race for a lot of last year until they fall off at the end of the season or possibly just pull the plug on the season. And so, like, maybe if you're a team like that, you could say, well, this is actually pretty cool. We're like going to make the playoffs or whatever. But we're still, 9.5 games out of the play-in? Like, we're not even close to the playoffs with Malcolm Brogdon and Jeremy Grant and all these veterans that are doing this awesome job. And so with that, we're going to, like, say he has to be kept for some sort of development and mentoring reasons on a crappy team that's rebuilding. It makes no sense to me, Tori.
Yeah, we gotta think donations.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we've just kind of gone off the rails this entire postgame show.
Right.
Shout out Michael Kroll, $5 donation, says glad your car is in one piece after the game. LOL, but Chauncey's comments on why he didn't play Scoot was weird AF. Yeah, absolutely agree. Mm-hmm. Shout out to Truly Spencer PDX, $2 donation, says Dame wiping his eyes with a towel during tribute. Yeah, I saw Dame wiping his eyes after the first tribute video. So he said he wasn't much of a crier, but at least that was maybe a successful part of the tribute. And then shout out to MGJJ123 with the $10 donation, says great sign at the end of the game saying Dame, go get your ring, then come home. Yes, that was a great sign. Got many cheers. Introduction and tribute was poor timing. Nice to see the excitement back in Moda tonight. Appreciate the donation. Thank you. Yeah, I think a lot of people agree.
Fun.
It was yeah. The tribute was nice, but could have been done better. And yeah, that Dame side got a lot of cheers, and most you got no boos, man. At least that I heard. I think the guy with the trade Dame jersey might have booed him, but that was just ridiculous on Twitter. I was gonna mock him if I saw him, man. This dude had a trade Dame, like a Dame jersey, but on the back instead of just Lillard, it said trade Dame, which is silly stuff. So
cool, man.
Silly stuff, man. Anyway,
and people say we're toxic.
I just want the best for the player that we're building the organization around. That's what I want. Okay? We can disagree on what the best thing is, but I want the best for Dame and the best for Scoot's development, and it's that simple. Rose City USA says, I've seen his eyes can't hide that emotion. Yeah, you could tell. Yeah, absolutely. Truly Spencer says, you can hear a few boos on some fan-recorded videos. Well, those are just I don't know, people that... I'm not going to attack Reddit, but... those are the outliers, man. Those are the people that had a crusade against anything Miami and made it their whole personality this offseason. So,
Drew says he should have got my signature tonight. Yep, you missed out, Drew.
Have Eric sign your forehead. We'll take questions, and then we'll wrap up the post game. We're super late here.
I'll never see you again, Drew, so.
Yeah. Dang, he missed his opportunity. Yeah, give us your questions, and then we'll roll out of here.
You know who else I met tonight?
Who else did you meet?
Derek Sprower. What's up, Derek?
Yeah, I thought we met him before.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I wanted to meet him. I just had to get out of the stadium. Got a chance to meet Boom, talk to him for like 2 minutes, and then got out of the stadium, and then got stuck in a parking lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was brutal. Not meeting Boom. Meeting Boom was great, man. Like that, he was wearing a Dame Olympic jersey. I think I was walking behind him.
Yeah.
Into the game, you know, and because I don't know how many people were wearing Dame Olympic jerseys, but I saw one going into the game or maybe walking through the concourse, and it was like, that's a great way to split the difference between Bucks and Blazers is by just going with an Olympic Dame jersey.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty cool.
Well, I got All-Star one on. It's got a Blazer logo, but...
Got you, yeah. But what was brutal was literally sat in the parking lot afterwards, did not move for 10 to 12 minutes.
Yeah.
It was awful. I didn't understand why. Like, literally couldn't go anywhere. Dro says Tori Hollywood AF. No, I'm not, bro. Come on now. Not until we hit 10K, you know? If I was Hollywood, we wouldn't be struggling to hit 10K subs, but we're getting close. Trade deadline stream, I think we hit it. Maybe I have something on the screen for that.
Right.
Oregon Street parking garage? Oregon State parking garage? I'm confused.
Mike Hall says you're cool with winning just 5 more games rather than 10 over the rest of the season.
What's the difference? That's my question. What is the difference? Like, hey, let him answer. We don't even got to speak of that. I just want to know what the difference is for him because the question is worded as if there's a difference.
I don't, in my opinion, I don't really. I mean, I've been very clear about this since before the season. I don't really look at it in terms of we need to win this many games or this win. Like, sure, winning occasionally is nice, but I'd rather just watch Scoot develop and know if we have something in clutch time that can be developed and all that kind of stuff, rather than care about winning 5 or 10 more games.
Yep.
What's up, Parker?
Top 5 pick and top 10 pick. Yeah, that might be the only difference. Did you pay super high price? I paid $25. Casey Darnell says, bingo, same fire Chauncey dude's obviously going for his job instead of the future. Yeah, there is a little bit of that, I feel like. How did I get them that cheap? No, $25 to park.
Yeah, he's just talking about parking, man.
Tickets were like $200 a piece, and I had $100 of Game Time credit, so shout out to Game Time. So they were like $300 a piece. So like $150 for me. Yeah, I thought you were asking about parking. What were you mentioning in the beginning of the stream between Dame's comments on Joe? Oh, just like he was asked if they had talked, and he said no. They still haven't talked to each other, which I guess isn't a surprise, but the way he said no was like I don't know. I feel like there's probably still a little bit of animosity. Not sure, obviously. I don't know, but felt like there was with the way he said no. It was in an interview before the game, so.
It was pretty interesting watching Joe stand right by the basket while the Bucks were warming up before the game, and Dame kind of avoiding going on that side of the court or the basket.
Yeah. Yeah, I was wondering if they were going to greet each other in the stadium or what that whole thing was going to be like, but yeah. I mean, those two are not on good terms. I mean, we talked about it all off season, so.
Truly Spencer asked, do you see Dame signing here for 1 year after his contract ends? I don't know if exactly after his contract ends, but yeah, I do think it's setting up for him to finish his career here. Hope that's the case.
Yeah, I just wonder how it works, like him in a 6-man role behind Scoot and either Ant or Sharp. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, Jody was there. She hasn't been to many games this year, but she was there tonight. I pretty much feel like she had to be.
Yeah. It would have been a bad look.
Yeah.
It would have been a real bad look.
Conflict of like she had some scheduling conflict.
Well, honestly, you know what it could have been? Like the Seahawks just hired their coach today, so.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Jody and Dame are cool. I think Joe and Dame aren't. Trading Brogdon equals less wins. Are you cool with that? Michael, I have a question for you. Would you rather win 5 more games this year or 5 more games 3 years from now? If you had to pick one, given where our roster is, given our timeline. Anyway, looking forward to your answer. That's how I'm going to start handling this, Eric. I'm just going to ask those questions because that's really what it is. Tori, where are you getting these $25 tickets from? So it was $200 basically. It wasn't $25. Is that from being part of the media now? No, I'm still the black sheep of anyone who covers the Blazers. I am not
Steven
media.
sitting?
They won't claim me. Probably in his. I think he gets media seats. I don't know.
Well, he said if he was booing Doc, I don't think he's allowed to do that in his media seats.
No, like, you know how he gave me seats and it was like right in front of media row?
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, like, you're allowed to do whatever because you're not in the media section. So that's funny that Steven booed him, though.
Yeah, Garben ticket prices actually came down. I think you could get, there were some in the 300 level for like $60 earlier today.
Damn, Michael Hall won't answer my question. Anyone that says like, you're cool with losing more games? Like I want to win more games when we're actually a playoff team.
Yeah, it's like would you rather win 25 games this year instead of 20, or possibly like 55 instead of 50 3 years from now? Like that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, and obviously it doesn't just automatically work that way, but the point is, like, I'm willing to sacrifice wins right now if it's better for our long-term development of our young players, or it's to get assets that can help us maximize a window where we're a playoff team. I mean, it's really not that complicated. I don't understand why it's so complicated. I know we haven't been through a rebuild in a while, so we haven't, as a fan base, gotten to see what it looks like firsthand in a while, but seen many other teams do it, if you've paid attention to how other teams have rebuilt.
There's no right way to rebuild, so I guess technically anyone could have a right answer here. But in my opinion, if you are rebuilding, you do 2 things. 1, you identify your core pieces moving forward. And 2, you maximize the value for anyone who is not part of that core. And Malcolm Brogdon is clearly, you can talk about him mentoring Scoot all you want, but he is clearly not part of the core moving forward. And most of that's just based on age and stuff like that. It doesn't make sense to have another guard that's his age that it's as good as he is. He's a good player. So I don't think his value is ever going to be better than it is right now. So you are maximizing his value while also prioritizing players that are potentially part of that core that you need to get more information on if they can play together. And so, in my opinion, I think when you are in this situation, you trade the players that you have maximized the value on and that are not going to be there long term. And that's Brogdon. It's Brogdon. Like, you got to get rid of him. Someone asked what the realistic trade deadline for us is. It's at least getting a first round pick and expiring for Malcolm. It helps clear up some stuff this summer, and it just, like, getting another asset is good from the Dame package and all that kind of stuff. I think that's like the bare minimum realistic thing we should do.
Yeah. Yeah. At the end of the day, should OKC have traded Paul George for SGA and a bunch of firsts? It definitely made him worse the following year, right? Like, should they have said, no, we don't want to trade Paul George for SGA and first because it might make us more like the Detroit Pistons?
Well, what about when Chris Paul had a resurgence there? Should they not have traded him? Should they have just kept Chris Paul and never traded him? He was probably a really good mentor for SGA, right?
Yeah, I mean, the point is there's a lot of trades in the past where teams have traded good players for young rebuilding assets and have been better off in the future because of it, right? Like, there's a lot of cases of that.
Oh, they got a first because Al Horford played so well for them. Should they have just kept Al Horford and not traded him back to the Celtics?
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, that's basically the logic that people have. It's just, I don't know if it comes from a lack of paying attention to what other teams do and what works for other teams when they're rebuilding. Like, they don't know how a rebuild works or what the deal is. But yeah, like, it's just wild to me. There just seems to be this love for inactivity and very marginal moves, and the only players we pick up are like mediocre guys with like a hope and a prayer that they have some sort of upside. It's just I don't understand. I don't understand. I mean,
So Parker says, can it be beneficial for a super young rookie to watch actually good vets and relish in a big win for morale and watch and learn value? Well, my question would be, why can't that guy be Anthony?
yeah.
If he needs someone to, like, learn from, why doesn't Anthony pass on what he learned from Dave?
Yep.
And like we've said all along, you don't need that person to necessarily be better than Scoot. Like, ideally, I think you want someone that's mentoring him that's a little worse than Scoot, so it's not like a case where Chauncey feels like playing that person over him gives us a better chance to win.
Yeah, I mean, I want to be winning games because Scoot's so good.
Mm-hmm.
If Brogdon was the 19-year-old, then I'd be saying I want to win games because Brogdon is so good at 19 and has superstar potential. It's literally all down the window. I mean, and I guess the difference is, like, do you want to win a championship one day? Do you want the Blazers to win a championship one day? Or do you just want the Blazers to be kind of good? Because there's a difference in terms of how you can build towards one or the other. Okay. You have to maximize a futuristic window if you want the Blazers to contend. If you want them to be kind of good, they can keep this core around and just make marginal moves and let the young guys improve a little bit, and then they can be kind of good. I mean, it's just funny because everybody agreed. I feel like literally everybody agreed before the season that Brogdon would be traded this year, and it would make sense to. I didn't hear one person argue that we should keep Brogdon for the entire season. The only argument was, should we trade him now before the season or keep him until the trade deadline and then trade him then? I don't understand where this came from. It just seems like we always trend towards wanting the least from this team as a fan base. And we always set up excuses for it.
Also, if we are going to move forward several years from now and still have a GM that can't get any value in trades, we need to set it up to where he has so much value available to him that there's no possible way he can't pull off a trade.
Yeah.
And that's acquiring as many assets as possible so that he can actually get something done and not say that he had no leverage or had no good offers or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, at the end of the day, this game was fun. At the end of the day, when Scoot's playing this well, I want him to play more. And Brogdon does get in the way of that. At the end of the day, Ayton's playing better. Okay. There's no, like, young big that Ayton's really in the way of. That's, like, a major piece of our rebuild. Okay. So, I have no qualms with him being on the roster except for the possibility of how his massive contract could hurt us in terms of our flexibility.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, Grant, I don't know how, if teams do bulk on his contract, I don't think they will, but if they do, then I understand a case for not trading him, but also who signed him to that contract, it was Joe Cronin. Simons, still a big believer in him long term. Kamara, good to see him defend well. Scoot, as I said, great first half from him. And hopefully Sharp, he's starting to ramp things back up. Hopefully he can return before the All-Star break, but I do think there's a chance he doesn't return until after the All-Star break. Mm-hmm. And after the All-Star break, I want a starting lineup consisting of all three, Scoot, Sharp, and Ant, and just let those guys try and blossom together. At the very least, I want all three of those guys playing 30 minutes a game. And here's the thing. Where is Sharp's minutes going to come from? Look at the minutes breakdown. For all the people that want to keep Brogdon, okay? How many minutes do you want to give Sharp, and whose minutes are you taking those away from, given the minutes breakdown today?
No, Tori, we want Sharp to just sit on the bench and not play like he's been doing, and so he can learn more.
That's my question. That's my question. For anybody that wants to keep Brogdon. It's easy to sit here and say we want to keep Brogdon right now. When Sharp comes back, we haven't had Sharp, Scoot, and Ant all healthy at the same time hardly at all this year, so we haven't seen what the problem will be. When Sharp comes back, how does that work? Especially since you're taking away some minutes at the 3 from Sharp because now you're starting Jeremy there. You got 6 guys, including your arguably top 5 players that you're going to play at point guard, shooting guard, or small forward somehow once Sharp comes back. Because you got Ant, Sharp, Brogdon, Grant, Scoot. So that's the thing. It's just what? Like either we move Grant back to power forward and cut some minutes from both Kamara and Jabari and maybe a little bit from Thibault to get Sharp to like 25 minutes a game, but I still don't think that's enough for Sharp. I think Sharp's been better as a starter and better when given more responsibility. So if you're keeping Brogdon and you're valuing Brogdon this much right now, then it probably makes sense to keep starting Brogdon. You're going to keep starting Ant. You're going to start Grant at the 3. Then you got Thibault, Sharp, and Scoot coming off the bench. How do the minutes work? Okay, Kenneth, whose minutes are you cutting, though? Because you have to cut somebody's minutes. So you're cutting Jabari's? Are you cutting Kamara's? Are you cutting... Who are you cutting? And how many minutes are you getting Sharp? Because I feel like we like people that want to keep Brogdon are failing to think this through all the way.
So we're going to keep these guys just to cut their minutes?
Yeah, I mean, it's a problem. Like, I don't know. I will continue to fight against complacency in terms of accepting this as something that's okay. Because it's really not. Cutting Grant's minutes? If we're going to cut Grant's minutes, then we should just trade him.
Yeah. That wasn't the same guy answering.
I know. I'm just saying, like, that can't be the solution. Otherwise, the solution
That's what I just said, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I...
Yeah,
what
are we doing? I don't know.
If I see Shaden in the corner during games, I'll throw a chair out the window. Yeah, man. I still have a hard time seeing Shaden as a 3. Well, with Brogdon, he has to play almost the majority of his minutes at the 3. You can't really play Sharp at any guard spot because you got Scoot, Brogdon, and Ant, and they're already struggling to get Scoot enough minutes in that situation, so you can't then insert Sharp into that guard rotation. So if you're going to get Sharp 30 minutes a game, okay, well, so you're benching Thibault then, right? Because you only got 18 minutes left at the small forward position, and you're starting Jeremy there. So Jeremy's playing at least like 12 minutes a game there. So then you just should trade Thibault then. At the end of the day, there is no way to break down the minutes where it doesn't come out like, okay, well, they should trade one of Grant, Thibault, or Brogdon. There's not enough minutes to go around as you try and develop guys.
I just cannot believe we're having this conversation that some people want to block and are okay with Brogdon playing more than those guys.
It's just, yeah, it's wild. It's wild, man. It's wild. I understand it if Scoot has a bad game, him playing 22 minutes, like, if he's struggling. Like, I understand that, okay? I don't have a problem with that. You know what's frustrating is, like, I feel like some of these streams we come off across as negative, more negative after wins, because a lot of times in those wins, Scoot plays well, and that's part of the reason why they win, but then he doesn't play enough. So then we're sitting here talking about how he's not playing enough when he's playing well and when we're winning. Or we're sitting here after Brogdon has like a 30-point game where he's 10 for 14 and we win because of that, while people wonder, like, what if they only get back seconds for him? When it's obvious that he is too good to only fetch seconds.
Yeah.
You know, like that's the problem with a lot of these winning streams right now, man. Like it's weird. It's very weird. I legitimately was like super excited for this postgame show, like super excited about this win. It just becomes like, man, that Chauncey quote kind of took some of the wind out of the sails.
Yep.
But after this, I'll go back and watch the highlights and listen to ESPN hype up Scoot because I was at the game, so I didn't get to hear it, and I'll get excited again. You know what I mean? And then I'll get mad again that he didn't play more and didn't get a chance to build on it, and it'll just be a roller coaster.
Yes, AJ, we can trade Matisse to the Mavs starting, it's whatever, I forget which day in July he signed, but whatever, like, let's just say it's July 10th, then after July 10th, he'd be able to be traded to any team.
Yeah, I can't wait till after the trade deadline because I'm already completely sick and tired of trade talk.
No, you're sick of non-trade talk.
Well, yeah. Which is coupled with trade talk. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like that whole thing,
yeah.
I just...
Dude, man, if we knew they were shopping all their guys right now, do you know how much more exciting it would be, though?
The thing is like, I'll still do a Brogdon trade, Target's Brogdon trade. And then if they trade Brogdon, like, cool. If they only trade Brogdon and they get a first back, like, I won't be negative. I won't be negative. I might say I think they should have traded Grant, but okay, I can be okay with it. It's not a high bar. It's what everyone agreed upon before the season. Like, I don't understand, man. This is what we all agreed upon. This is what everybody was talking about. This is what everybody was saying. Why is this so hard now, man? I don't get it. And it's not just people in our chat, and people might think we're overreacting to a small minority. I'll do a chat poll. Trade or keep Brogdon. But it's people on Twitter, it's people with platforms starting to do this stuff.
Well, Kevin says this fan base has way too many people who are content with mediocrity. We're not even mediocre, though, right now.
I mean, lately we're mediocre because we've been winning more.
But 4-game sample size that
yeah, but you know what it is? You know what it is, Eric? In our last... this makes Kevin's point, too. In our last 9 games, we're 5-4. So now we want to keep everybody. That's exactly what Kevin's saying. We go 5-4, and all of a sudden it's let's keep everyone. Let's keep everyone. I'll get it. I'm proud of chat. 96% of people say trade Brogdon. Okay, cool. Maybe you are overreacting to a small minority, but man, I can't not stress this enough. You gotta trade Brogdon.
If you did that same poll, like as an anonymous Twitter user, I'm sure you're getting a lot more.
Yes. Sorry, we're overreacting to Twitter, maybe. But, man.
No, dude. I don't think so. I got flooded with people.
Yeah. I mean, that's what this is based on. That's what this conversation is based on. There was like 10 people try to describe why we should keep him. Yeah.
And both Tori and I have really respected and liked Malcolm Brogdon. It's not
Brogdon. It's sad that we have to add that caveat, but
yeah.
I mean, 10% of people now are saying keep. I mean, I just okay. I think if I did a chat poll, okay. Let me test this out. Wow, 12% say keep. I'm gonna end this chat poll, and I'm gonna do another chat poll, and I want to see if the results are the exact same. Should the Blazers ever try to win a championship? Yes? No. Basically the same poll.
Jody's like, I don't know. I like winning, but I also like money. And you have to spend a lot of money to win.
True.
But keeping everyone is also costly. I'm so torn.
People voting no are trolling. Yes, definitely. I'm kind of trolling with this poll, but man, I'm just ready. I'm ready. I'm ready to be past the trade deadline. I'm tired. I'm tired of. Part of it is we've seen this movie before. You know, if we hadn't seen this movie before, probably wouldn't be reacting the way we are to some of this stuff. It's just like me and Eric talked to a ton of people, ton of Blazer fans, like we're pretty plugged in terms of the fan base. I just already feel this going the route where it's they do absolutely nothing, and then we're the negative guys for critiquing them for it, even though we all agreed that they should trade Brogdon by the deadline. So I don't know what else we can do. Like, I'm not just gonna sit back here and accept inactivity.
Yeah.
Like it literally comes back to I want them to have a direction. It's not too much to ask, even though apparently it is.
Also, and I think you responded to this on Twitter, but there was a Blazers media person who tweeted out that you want to keep Brogdon because next season there's going to be teams that are in the second apron that need to get under, and then you could use as a contract as an expiring contract to help those teams out. Huh?
What?
You didn't see that part? You responded to his other tweet right above it.
Did I?
Yeah. It was the same guy. You were.
What media person did I respond to? I don't even know. I don't even know, bro.
Yesterday.
Okay, I'll scroll back to my
Trevin said it in chat. I don't want to say
yes.
it.
Oh, yeah.
What?
What? Bro, that doesn't make any sense. You're going to get more value in that type of trade? So
you're basically using him as an expiring contract, but he's supposed to have more value.
But, why don't you just do the freaking Fournier trade and then pick up... Fournier has a team option, right? He's expiring now, but he has a team option, and he barely makes less than Brogdon. Why wouldn't you just take that trade, get back the first-round pick that apparently isn't good enough, and then use Fournier's expiring contract? Because basically that sort of thing is... They're not trading for Brogdon the player, they're trading for Brogdon the contract. So why don't you just trade Brogdon for a contract that's expiring next year for a worse player and get back an asset, and then you can allow a team to do that sort of duck under the second tax move. That makes no sense at all, man. I hate, it's my pet peeve when people kind of know the CBA and then say stuff that is so wrong based on kind of knowing the CBA.
Well, if that were true, how are you helping them save money if you're trading them Malcolm Brogdon too?
I guess it's if they're trading 28 mil for 20,
a few million maybe, but you and I have said all along to trade all the veterans and get as much cap space as possible this summer, right? Yeah. Wouldn't that be much better? Plus, you get all the assets you traded all the veterans for, and then you get more assets by taking on all those contracts that are going to be available for no salary back. Yeah. So they probably give you even more because you don't even have to give them any salary, right? Yeah. That's what the Thunder did. Yeah. But now we're supposed to get more value for Malcolm because we can trade his $22 million contract and save them a few $1,000,000 by trading us a $25 million player. Come on.
Oh, God, the mental gymnastics right now are driving me crazy.
And here's the other thing. Aeromancer has been doing, Aeromancer, this is all Aeromancer cares about lately, and I'm really proud of him. And this is something that, I think you feel the same way based on what you just said a few minutes ago.
Yeah.
With the likelihood of us not trading, one of these guys, let alone multiple of them, it just doesn't seem like it's worth the effort to think of trades that this will happen with. But Aeromancer has been doing this for weeks, trying to make trades that are realistic, that create the biggest TPEs as possible, including some that we could possibly get the entire contract of Malcolm Brogdon as a TPE.
Yeah, which would be a $22 million TPE. But you know what people say, Eric, is we never use our TPEs. TPEs don't really matter.
But if you're talking about the new CBA like this person was, then in the new CBA, you can use TPAs for different things than you could in the past starting next year. And so that's one value. And two, once again, if teams are trying to cut salary to duck the tax, it's a lot better for you to be able to absorb their full salary than have to match salary and only save them a few $1,000,000.
Yeah.
And if you have a large TPE and are willing to take on salary for assets, that is a way to easily accomplish that goal. Plus you get the first round pick or whatever you got from Malcolm as well. So you get both. In the situation where you trade Malcolm, it's the best of both worlds. In their situation, they're trying to say is better. It's like the worst possible value we could get. And then these other teams are going to say, well, we didn't save enough money, so we can't give you that much back. So you're going to get less. You're going to get a second round pick in that situation instead of a first round pick. And then people are going to say, well, what is Joe supposed to do? He didn't have any leverage because the team needed to get under the cap. Like, no crap. We're telling you all this now.
Yeah. Chat, does what Eric say make sense? Like, that's how ridiculous it is. Hopefully it makes sense. Because we go into these deep rants about, like, team building and assets and this and that, and I always hope we do a good job of explaining it, because it's tough to explain some of this stuff, but when you really take a look at it, what some of these people advocate for, it's silly. So I just want this team to be great, man. I experienced a playoff atmosphere tonight. I want to experience a playoff atmosphere in a playoff game. Yeah. Not just, it's a playoff atmosphere because our greatest player ever left us because we were never going to try and contend with him game. You know?
Yeah.
So, please, just find a direction towards contention. Okay? That's all I want. I just want, bro, 5 years doing this channel. 5 freaking years doing this channel. And it's like, I just want to talk about winning a playoff series, man. Let alone winning a championship. I just want to talk about, guys, we won game 6. Let's go. We got 1,500 people in chat. I put up plastic around my room and I'm popping a champagne bottle because we won a playoff series. I want that stream. That's all I want. That's all I want. I'm not even asking for a championship. I'm just asking for freaking. I mean, I want to build towards a championship, but man,
yeah,
we haven't got one single playoff series win. That's all I want. It's just to build towards being a playoff winner. God damn, that's all dude.
But it was fun to watch Anthony beat Dame tonight. That was cool.
Yeah, I want to see Ant beat Dame in the finals. You know, he can win his ring the next 2 years, and then Ant can beat Dame, and then Dame can come back for our two-peat.
How bad would you feel if we won a ring in the next 5 years and Dame never won?
I would never feel bad about winning a championship. You know me. You know how.
No, I meant to Dame.
I would feel a little bad for Dame. Wouldn't feel bad for myself though. I need a championship. You know.
Well, you're gonna get one in 10 days, I think. Hopefully.
Knocking on wood. Hopefully, yeah. You said hopefully, so you're clear.
Yeah, Tyler, it's not this Sunday. It's still a week from Sunday.
Yes.
That's why we're chilling right now. But yeah, because the game gets closer.
I want a championship, man. I want a championship. I want this Blazer team to be good. I want more games like tonight where we beat good teams and it's not a shocker. The channel would be so lit if we had a team as good as the Bucks, you know? Man. It'd be so much fun. So our gripes are with that in mind. That's what we want, man. Anyway.
Don't be like a team that just came across the bottom ticker, the Chicago Bulls, who are rumored to be now going to keep everyone and go for the playoffs.
See, I feel like if we weren't all Blazer fans, we'd be looking at it from the outside looking in, where everybody would say that, yeah, they should trade Malcolm Brogdon.
Yeah.
Like the Bulls, what's their direction, right? But if we were dude, it would suck to be a Bulls channel, because if we were Bulls fans, we were saying we need to pick a direction. We're never going to win a playoff series, let alone contend with this iteration of this team. People say, what, you want to lose more games? Do you want to be the Pistons? Well, if the Bulls are ever going to win a championship, they have to fully rebuild. They have to.
And they've done it several times, and it hasn't gone well, but that doesn't mean you can't try it again.
What's up, Henjin Pen? Said, what's up, y'all? Just came back home from the game. How we feeling? This game was fun. This win was a really good win. A lot of good performances. You know, we talked a little bit about it. Chauncey had a really bad quote about Scoot. I thought Scoot played great and should have played more, so we have some gripes with that. And then Chauncey had a really bad quote, in our opinion, regarding it. And that has drawn some criticism from us, and this has basically become just a stream where we talk about how Scoot needs to play more and the Blazers need to trade Brogdon to do so. So that's like the summary of the stream, and it's has kind of a negative tone to it because it's based around the latest rumor that the Blazers are open to keeping Malcolm Brogdon and people advocating for it. Because at the end of the day, I mean, it's funny because we were told to just embrace Scoot all offseason, right?
Mm-hmm.
We're embracing Scoot now. I'm embracing Scoot. It's time to scoot. You know? So, yeah. Anyway. What was the quote? Chauncey said, quote, for those of you who haven't heard this, just give me your honest reaction to it, okay? Chauncey said, quote, okay, well, this is a tweet that basically quoted Chauncey from somebody that works for the Portland Tribune that said, Billups said he didn't put Scoot back in because he was unsure of what Scoot might or might not do. Said that they had a chance to win the game and felt it would be better if Scoot was off. After he had his best half of the season in the first half. So those of you who hadn't heard that quote, what do you think of that quote? Just give your honest reaction to that. Like, yeah. So a lot of people have a problem with that quote for good reason. And Jim says, dog, what? Yeah, so that's that quote kind of changed the mood of the stream a little bit, man. I mean, that's really bad, in my opinion, but, anyway. Blazers win? I saw Gabe in the chat earlier. He said, a wise man once said, we don't got no assets.
We don't got no assets.
I guess trade deadline stream, Eric. I just spammed this.
We don't got no assets.
This sound clip, I guess. Because apparently we don't got no assets. Brogdon ain't an asset. I don't know. Scoot started making couples of turnovers in the second half. Yeah, he had 2 mistakes. He had 2 turnovers. Okay. He had 4 assists, 15 points, was 6 for 11 with 2 turnovers. That's a good game. That's a really good game.
Oh, man, I just remembered Ant had that really bad turnover, too.
Yeah. I mean, legitimately, like, Brogdon had 3 turnovers, Ant had 3 turnovers. Scoot had 2 turnovers. Scoot gets benched for his.
There's 7 days, 10 hours, and 20 minutes until the trade deadline.
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready to be past this, man. I just want to hang out and enjoy the community. Appreciate you guys. Anyway. So does Scoot even play in the second half at all? Yeah, he played like 9 minutes, but I mean, he should have played more. Should have played more.
It's basically a third of the second half, yeah.
Yeah. And that was after he was like dominant in the first half.
Yep.
And the thing is, in the third quarter too, it was like he like barely touched the ball, and every time he touched the ball is because it was the offense being super stagnant. And I don't know, like when they got out with pace, Scoot looked really good. We need to play in transition more, partly because Scoot is very good in transition compared to half court.
Yep.
He's starting to develop more in the half court. His shot's looking better, but I thought the way we played in the first half was exactly how I expect us to play consistently this year, and how I expected Scoot to look. So,
yep.
And the thing is, if we did that more with Scoot, I think Scoot would look better, and we'd win more games. But nope, we got to walk up the wall with Malcolm Brogdon instead. Brogdon's good, but ain't the future. So, he literally outplayed Dame. It was sick. He outplayed Dame. You could tell he wanted to outplay Dame.
In less minutes, too. A lot less minutes.
Yeah. And you could tell he wanted to, man. I liked that, bro.
He was getting hyped.
I liked that. That
edge. He blew right
energy.
by him on that one play of the reverse
dunk.
That
reverse dunk, so that was like right from where I was at. Bro, oh my goodness. That was the athlete that we've been waiting for.
Yeah.
You know? The explosiveness. He threw that down with some animosity towards the rim. God, I got so hyped at that. That was so sick. Like, literally right in front of me, bro. And that was like, man, that's what can make me feel better about moving on from Dame. And then Chauncey didn't know what he was going to do, so he doesn't play. And we win. So, cool. Dame looked mad at the end of the game. I mean, he was probably mad they lost. I'm looking forward to listening to his post-game press conference.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll be live again tomorrow. Might be a little longer stream on our second channel, so we can talk a little bit more about stuff after the night passes.
Thanks everyone for watching. Appreciate you all, and I hope you all have a good night.
Yep, appreciate you all. Thank you for tuning in to the Blazers Uprise post-game show. The Blazers beat the Bucks in Dame's return. Dame gets an ovation. And the Blazers spoil it behind a clutch Anthony Simons floater. Great defense down the stretch by Tamani Kamara. Jeremy Grant making some tough buckets. Malcolm Brogdon playing 36 minutes. And Scoot's, dominant first half. Best half of his career, in my opinion.
Yeah.
The first half. When he played.
I was excited, man.
Also, let me just say this, Eric. I'll throw this in right at the end because I kind of forgot to mention this during this entire conversation. When he's playing that well in the first half, he should be playing more than 13 minutes in the first half. If he plays 13 minutes a half, he plays 26 minutes. When he's playing that well, should be playing more than 13 minutes in the first half. So it's not just, he made a couple mistakes in the second half. He's not playing enough in the first half.
Yep.
He got subbed out with how much left in the second quarter? Let me look up the play-by-play.
I think it was like 5 or 6 minutes.
Yeah, he got subbed out with 5.5 minutes left to go. Sub him back in with 3 minutes. Give him a little 2.5 minute breather. Sub him back in. Get him to 16 minutes. See if he can end the half well. See if he can keep up with this rhythm. It just didn't make sense to me. So, it wasn't just the second half. He should have played more in the first half. Doesn't really make sense. But, anyway. Hopefully Sharp's back soon. Kenneth says, I'm not sure if you guys are happy or mad we won. I'm happy about the win. I mean, it was a great win. It was a great playoff atmosphere, great experience for our young guys, I think. I'm happy about things in this game. I'm frustrated with Scoot not playing more when he's playing great. And then Chauncey's quote. So.
Yeah, for me, I want wins to be because our young guys stepped up.
Yep.
But I enjoyed the win. It was cool watching Anthony hit a game winner and all that.
Yeah, fun game to be at. Fun to see Ant hit a game winner against Dame. Fun to hear Brooke call Ant the clutchest player in the league instead of Dame. So all that was great. All that was cool. All that was fun. Enjoyed all of that. All that. So we'll take the good with the bad, and we'll see what's next. But this, and especially Scoot's play, Ant's play, and then once we get Sharp back, Sharp has had some really good moments earlier in the season, right? Hopefully we can combine all that towards pushing towards the future that is going to be built around those guys. Maybe not all three, but probably at least two of them are going to be the future, are so important for our future. And that's for good reason. They got a lot of potential. Got to tap into it as much as possible. Got to develop them as well as possible. That is very, very important. Win or loss. Win or loss.
Absolutely. Yep.
So, anyway, this is going to wrap up this postgame show. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for showing up, even though the stream went live pretty late, considering we got back from the game. And we've been live for almost 3 hours, so going to tie a bow on this one and see you guys tomorrow on Blazers Uprise Live on our second channel. Then we got another post-game show on Friday. The Blazers have been playing better, but they'll be tested on Friday as they head into Denver to take on the defending champs. So I'll have a post-game show for you after that game. That game tips off at 6 p.m. Pacific time. So post-game show going live around 8:30 p.m. local time. Thank you to everyone who donated. Thank you to all our channel members. Thank you to the people that we met today at the stadium. That was pretty cool. And appreciate all you who make chat fun to interact with. And any other things you'd want to say, Eric, before we hit him with
I echo all your sentiments there. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. Hope to see you tomorrow or Friday.
Yep. And with that being said, we're out here. Until next time, as always, peace out. Go Blazers!